Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here. It is time for a very big, very special video. Today, we're going to be looking at my entire trophy list from the point of Platinum number 401 all the way up through my very recent 500th Platinum. So go ahead and get yourselves comfortable, get something to eat and drink, or if you are maybe at work or something and want to listen to this like a podcast, feel free to do that as well because we're going to be here for a little while. There's a lot of games to talk about, so let's jump on in. So, to be fair, it took me a lot longer to hit 500 than it did to hit some of my other milestones, but a big part of that is because over the last maybe 2 years now, I think it's been a little over 2 years, I've really been focusing a lot on cleaning up my gaming backlog. So, you're going to see a lot of games here that I earned the Platinums in a long time ago, but went back to finish DLC for. And that's sort of been my main focus for the last couple years, is just wrapping up old games, especially PS3 and Vita games. Not as much on PS4, but especially on PS3 and Vita. I just want to clean those up because obviously we had the whole PlayStation Network scare, like the stores possibly going down on PS3 and Vita, which thankfully that's now not true, but you never know how long it's going to be until something like that actually happens, or how long it's going to be until all the remaining PS3 servers and Vita servers start to go down. So it's mainly been my focus to clean up old games over the last couple years. So that's part of the reason why it took me quite a while to get from 400 to 500. So, of course, my 400th Platinum was Red Dead Redemption 2, which was earned on September 22nd, 2019. I earned my 500th Platinum on May 12th of 2021. So that's about a year and 8 months, a little bit under a year and 8 months, I believe. Yeah, that's correct. Just under a year and 8 months to go from 400 to 500, with a whole bunch of games cleaned up in the process. So you're going to see here, some of these games are going to be out of order because some of these Platinums were earned at much earlier times, but they may have had DLC pop up later on, and that's why they are higher up on the list, because I want to say it was Platinum number 401 actually, was Borderlands 3, but then of course I went back to it a year later and did the DLC, or at least some of it. So that's why things are a little bit out of order from what you might be used to from just looking at my normal trophy list. So, we're going to start out here with Access Denied. We have the PS4 and PS Vita versions. Presumably these were the North American versions because I believe I did the European version quite a bit before this. So this is a Ratalaika easy puzzle game. As long as you follow a guide, you're not going to have any problems. You're basically just pushing buttons and messing with little devices and objects and stuff. It's a pretty simple, pretty easy game. It's reasonably enjoyable for what it is. You might could have some fun playing this one without a guide, but in order to obtain the Platinum Trophy, you're going to get 2 trophies here for completing 13 levels of the game. There are 36 total, and you're going to have to complete all of them. You have to skip any one level, which you can do. Probably is going to be one of the last trophies you get. Yeah, well, no, it wasn't the last trophy I got. Complete half levels instead of half of the levels. There are, I believe, 36 total. It's either 32 or 36 total. Okay, so it's 36 total. So you have to complete all of the levels, and that is going to earn you most of your trophies in this game. You also have to spend at least 3 minutes on one level, in which case, I remember there being a level that was like a matching game type of level, and that one you're probably going to get the 3 minutes on naturally. If you don't, obviously just go sit on a level for 3 minutes, and then feel free to combine it with that skip trophy and knock out 2 at once. Then the on and off toggle switches over 100 times, just pretty simple. Click on a switch over and over again until it unlocks. Complete a previously passed level, just go replay the first level of the game just to knock that out real quick. Then the short circuit is a miscellaneous trophy. There was a specific level to do this on. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but it's still, it's a very easy trophy. I mean, this is a whole very easy Platinum. It takes less than an hour. It can be done in like 30 minutes if you really know what you're doing. It's a 6 stacking game, so this presumably would have been the North American PS4 and Vita, because I would assume that I did the European PS4 version at an earlier point, because I know I did the European PS4 of this game. So that's a couple Platinums right there. Next up we have Nier Automata, or Automata, or Automata, however you want to pronounce it. This is the second game in the Nier franchise, following the original Nier and then Nier Replicant version Long String of Numbers that pretty recently released, like a month ago. So this is a really, really good, fun, underrated game. It's definitely one that you should check out. Not just because it's an easy platinum, but because it's actually a pretty good game. I mean, it's a third-person action and slightly shooter type of game with a lot of hack and slash combat, as well as using like various weapons and stuff like that, firearm type weapons that are more energy based. The story's pretty intriguing, the setting's pretty good, the gameplay's very solid, the music is banging the whole way through, and the Platinum Trophy is not too difficult. So you're going to get a bunch of these trophies, everything through Ending A, you're going to get naturally during your first playthrough. Then you basically do like a second sort of playthrough, and for this one it's like a shorter one, but you're playing as a different character, and that's how you get Ending B. And then you get more story-related trophies, and you begin working on Ending C, which I believe is going to give you every trophy through here. Yeah, every trophy through here you're going to get while going for Ending C. These two trophies relate to Ending C and D, which are two separate choices you make during the very end of the game. So you are going to have to replay the final battle, but that's very simple, so just play through it twice and you'll get Ending C and D. Then this is going to be earned from Ending E, which requires you to pick a few specific choices at the very end of the game after one of the other endings. Whatever you do, you probably don't want to give your save file up, because there's an option that allows you to sacrifice your save file to help other players. I would not recommend doing that, because then you can't go back and clean up any other trophies. So then we get to our miscellaneous trophies. You have to collect your own body, which is pretty easy. If you die at any point, just go back and collect your own body. And by the way, you can do every trophy in this game on the easiest difficulty, which I would definitely recommend playing on easy or normal, because hard is very challenging in this game, so do be warned on that. So harvest 100 bodies or collect 100. These are basically other players that have died throughout the world, and you can harvest their bodies for various resources, such as clones or healing items. You have to complete quests. So with the quest trophies, you're going to see a lot of trophies earned right around the exact same time, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute at the end of this particular trophy list. But completing one quest, that's obviously an unmissable trophy. You have to complete 80% of all quests, 80% of all the archive data, 80% of all unit data, 80% of all the plug-in ships, which are like upgrades, obtain all the pod programs, which gives you various options for your pods and their weapons, upgrade any weapon and then all weapons to their highest levels. You might get the one weapon to its highest level naturally, but the other one you might not get naturally. Upgrade all the pods to their highest level. All of this stuff takes a ton of in-game resources. That's where, if you're going for this platinum fully legit, you are going to be spending a lot of time gathering resources. Then you have to play a hacking game, which is unmissable. You're going to do that many times throughout the story. You're probably going to get this one naturally as well. This one you may not get naturally, but I'll explain in a second an easy way to get many of these trophies. Then the 50 machine life forms with Berserk mode. I don't even remember what that was. Then you have to do 255 enemies using a flight unit. This one is most likely going to come naturally by the time you finish the game, because there's quite a few of the flight sections. Then you have hidden harvest points. That probably wouldn't be too hard, especially if you were looking at a guide. Same with finding all the pods. I don't think those are particularly hard if you have a good guide. Have 100,000 gold, whatever you want to call it, currency in your possession at once. This should come naturally. Ride any animal for 5 kilometers. Catch 20 different kinds of fish. Destroy 10 friendly machine life forms, which you could certainly just do and then reload your save. That's a decent way to do it. This trophy, which I think I actually may have bought that one, actually, from the in-game store. I'm kind of surprised I did that. This one, I think you have to play with 9S naked for an hour, I believe. Emil's shop, I believe, is like a rare, random, not a rare, but like a later character in the game that's kind of hidden. This is for a secret, pretty challenging boss fight related to Emil. Then you have to achieve all endings. There's one for each letter of the alphabet, and I believe that this might be a trophy that you get after getting all the endings, but I'm not sure. So, unfortunately, I can't give the most details on this game because I did what many players do and use the in-game trophy store. You see, this game has an in-game trophy store that allows you to purchase all non-story related trophies in the game, meaning that nothing is missable, and it greatly cuts down on the amount of time you would have to spend, as there are a lot of endings that take a very long time. A couple of the endings, I believe, are missable if you don't do them at specific times, and then just there would be like probably dozens of hours of resource grinding. So it really does save a lot of time. It allows you to just experience the story and have fun and not have to worry about the trophies, because you'll learn a lot of trophies just by beating all of the main 5 endings, and you can just buy the rest from the store. I believe it's located in the Resistance headquarters from what I remember. Next up, we have Ugly Dolls and Imperfect Adventure. I believe I earned this Platinum Trophy live on stream at one point. So with this game, you're going to have to complete the game twice, once as each of the 2 characters. You have to complete all of the levels of the game. A single playthrough takes like 2 to 3 hours. So it was like rescue characters. I believe it was, 5 main chapters, then like 2 extra chapters afterward. This game was weird. I specifically remember it being very weird. Buttons are like a currency. Crafting, this game had a crafting mechanic for some reason. You had to trap robots as a way to defeat them. You had to lure 5 into the water, which was a little bit annoying because you had to get them to follow you properly, but it wasn't too difficult. Jump in the water for 30 seconds, pretty simple. Trap 10 robots in bubbles, that one was a little bit trickier because I think you had to do most of these trophies in like a single playthrough at any given time or for any one given trophy. So this one, I think it was just a little bit harder to get the bubble ammo. And also, this game was technically roguelike a little bit because the world looks different every time you play it, which can actually affect your trophies a bit. So like, every time you play through the game, the levels are going to be a little bit different, which is really, really strange for a kid's movie media tie-in game. But yeah, that was a choice they made for some reason. Hide in a box for 30 seconds, very easy. Rummage, it's just like collect items from boxes 50 times, that's extremely easy. Play the game in 2-player, just boot up a second controller and get it pretty much instantly. This, I believe, was the hardest trophy in the game because you had to get 5 robots to follow you all at the same time and not, like, die or kill them by accident or anything like that. I believe there was a very specific item you had to use to do it, and you had to get sort of specific layouts of the world to have a better chance of doing it. So that's definitely one of the harder trophies. I mean, it's a kid's game. It's still like a 2 out of 10 in difficulty, but it had a couple of more annoying trophies such as that one. 20 rummage points in one level, that's pretty much unmissable because you're going to need the buttons that you collect from it. Get knocked back 10 times by chargers, that's pretty easy, just let them hit you 10 times, nothing much to worry about there. This has to do with a specific robot that messes with your controls and reverses you, and you just have to get hit by him 5 times. Teleporter, similar thing, just have, just get teleported 10 times, it's pretty self-explanatory. Then 5 enemies chasing you at once is best. I think, did I combine it with the other one? Let's see, that was 11-3 at 6:47 p.m. Yep, so I combined those 2 at once, so you're going to need to wait for a good layout that makes this easier for you, to where you can guide 5 of them at once and then destroy all of them at once with 1 item. Flip 10 switches is pretty much unmissable. You're going to be getting that along the way. That's how you open up other areas. Spend 30 seconds on ice. Use air vents 10 times. Those are easy miscellaneous trophies. This one, I believe you had to have a specific item and a specific type of building to be able to get this one. So, again, comes down a little bit to the layout of your world. And then you had to fly with the hover hat for 30 seconds, which is pretty easy. It was a cumulative trophy, I believe. So yeah, that was a pretty quick and easy overall kids media tie-in game. It had been a while since I'd done one. So it's worth picking up if you can get it for super cheap off of, say, Gamefly or something. Then Fractured Minds. This is the first one that we've talked about today that was just a 100%, not a platinum. So you had to complete the game, which was, it looks like 6 chapters. So just complete the game, and that's how you got most of your trophies. This game took like under half an hour. Actually, it took like maybe 20 minutes. And then in the first chapter, you had to collect 7 incorrect keys before leaving. I think there were more than 8 though, total. You have to see a specific item during chapter 4, a specific character, figure, thing. As long as you're following a guide, this is all super easy, because it was actually a really good game. It was made by, I think, just one person, and it was meant to be like a mental health awareness thing, so I applaud that. The game was very well done for being one person, probably didn't have a ton of time to make the game overall. So I give them credit, and I like seeing independent developers that make pretty decent little games like this compared to some of the other games we see out there. The red zone 3 times in Chapter 5, I think, is just like an out-of-bounds zone that you're not supposed to walk into. Then we had Tetris Escape. This would have been the North American PS4 and Vita versions, because presumably I would have done the EU PS4 version at an earlier time, but it's also possible we'll see it later on this list, same with Access Denied. I don't remember exactly when I did every game I've ever done, so we'll see in a minute or some amount of time later in this video. Tetris Escape is a bit of a puzzle game where you play as a bunch of cubes and have to stack them in specific ways and use special abilities with them. You have to complete 6 worlds out of the games. I think there's maybe 8 in the game, so you have to complete 6 worlds. You have to find half of all stars in the game, which means you can miss quite a few. I believe there's 3 on every level. There's, I want to say, 1 cup on every level. It's either 1 cup and 3 stars or 1 star and 3 cups. I believe it's the former of those two. So basically just collectible trophies. If you're following a guide, you won't have any problems with this. If you're following like Bad Driver's Guide, I think had one, and I'm sure that there's other people that did. So pretty simple trophies, and you can always go back and replay levels as needed. Saving 10 Tetras is unmissable. Saving 100 is also likely unmissable. Saving 200 is going to require a little bit of a grind, as is this 2500 boxes one. So this one's going to be unmissable, but this one, as well as the 200 Tetras, is going to be just a little bit of a grind, most likely. So there are good levels to do those on, but they just might add a few extra minutes, up to an extra, 20 minutes to your overall platinum time. It's not much. I mean, it's still a 1-hour platinum that's very easy with the guide, but just keep that in mind. Then this one, I believe, is an unmissable story-related trophy. This one can only be done in specific levels. You have to fall off the level before the, details and explanation at the beginning happens. So then this one, you have to change all of the Tetras into these Tetrominos. So basically transform all of them and lose the level, which is pretty easy. There's very specific levels you can do that on. Complete a level without any stars at all, just avoid all of them. There's plenty of levels where you can do that, and it might even come naturally by the end of it. And then burn up all the Tetras in a single level. You're going to have to wait for a lava level to do that, but it's not really a difficult thing to do. The Vita version is identical in terms of trophies and gameplay, so nothing much more to mention there. As you can see, this version took me around 48 minutes. I might have earned a trophy before that, so it took me a little bit under an hour on the Vita version. And this version took me probably just over an hour. Well, no, I think it took 701. Yeah, it took me like 59 minutes. Okay, so they both took me right around an hour. But I mean, quick and easy platinums if you follow a guide. It's another, 6 stacking Rattle Lake game. So there's plenty of platinums to be had if you want them. Next up, LEGO Indiana Jones 2. The adventure continues. This is the North American version, as this is one of the rare LEGO games that has multiple region stacks. So this is a very interesting LEGO game. It actually plays quite a bit differently from some of the others, and it's a little bit trickier than a few of the others. Just the way the collectibles and stuff are set up, it's a little bit trickier overall, and it's a different kind of game design. It's also known for having glitch trophies, so you're going to want to be careful on that. It's also a fairly rare LEGO Platinum, even by PS3 standards. So if you want a relatively easy but rare LEGO Platinum, this is a good option. So you had to complete all of the story, treasure, and bonus levels in each of the game's 4 hubs. So I believe it was a normal 5 story levels. The treasure mode levels, I believe, were just shorter missions, same with the bonus levels. So I believe there was a total of 15 levels per hub for a total of 60 overall in the game. I think it was something like that. But I could be completely wrong because it has been a long time since I have played this game. Oh wait, Skull 1, 2, and 3 hubs, so it might have been even more levels than that. So, like I said, it's been a very long time. It's been, a year and a half since I played this game, so I don't have the best memory of it. Destroy Indy 3 times while playing as Mac. You can do that on pretty much any free play level. Defeat 50 Russians with Mutt. That's pretty easy. Just, play as Mutt on any level where you're going to be fighting Russian enemies and beat them up. Use Scholar Access 10 times. That should probably come naturally while going for all of the collectibles in the game. Edit a single bonus level in the level builder. I want to say this one might have been slightly weird in that you might have had to do it in a very specific way to make it unlock, but it was still pretty easy. Artifacts are a collectible type in the game. Find all of them. It's a Lego game. There's a lot of stuff to find and collect, as usual. Fire a bazooka 100 times. Pretty easy. Just, find a bazooka, fire it 100 times. This game did have quite a few simple miscellaneous trophies in it. The plane races are events within the hub worlds that you're going to have to do that are going to get you collectibles. Destroy 100 enemy vehicles will probably come naturally while doing everything. Okay, I believe it's this one where you had to build your level in a very specific way to make the trophy unlock, so I would suggest looking at a guide for this one. Destroy Indy while playing as Spalco. It's sort of like the previous one where you destroyed Indy as Max, so just pick a free play level and do it. Create a customized character. That's a typical Lego trophy, very easy. The builder tutorial levels are kind of odd because these were a thing at times in the PS3 where you could try to build your own levels. But honestly, it leaves quite a bit to be desired overall. It's not the most functional game thing ever. It was a cool idea, it just doesn't quite work out that well. The build your own adventure, I believe, is you have to set up like 4 consecutive builder levels or something and play through them, I believe is what you have to do. Unlock all the vehicles, you have to find them and purchase them. Same with like characters if that's in here somewhere. Unlock all of the enemies, I believe that's a character trophy, so unlocking characters. So this one is a glitched trophy that has been known to not work that well for a lot of people. Some people say you have to do it in story mode, some say you have to do it in free play, some say you have to do it in a very specific type of the level or with a specific character. Others say you have to do it on a brand new save file. So there's a lot of different possibilities for that trophy. It's one of the few in the game that's known to be glitched that doesn't have a single definitive solution. You have to unlock the Grail Knight, that's a specific character. You have to complete all of the story levels in quick play, so that's basically a whole nother playthrough of the game. Which quick play, I think, is just you have like a few changes made to the levels to make them go a little bit faster. This is another character that you can unlock within the game. And finally, complete the game to 100%. That means, find everything, explore all the worlds and the hub worlds, find all the collectibles, unlock all the characters and vehicles. There's a lot to do, like with most LEGO games, so you're going to be in for a bit of a ride with this one because it is a bit of a different game with the way it plays. Though it's still got a lot of similarities to many of the other LEGO games. And this trophy is known to glitch, but thankfully it does have a well-known workaround, so definitely refer to the trophy guide before starting this game up. I will not be doing the European version of this because I don't really want to deal with glitch trophies or trying to find a European copy of the game because that's usually a bit of a stressful event to find. Next up, Zoroptian Invasion. This is most likely the European PS4 version of the game because I believe I actually have both of the North American versions ready to do in the future. So I think this game was a little bit Space Invaders-esque. So die once is very easy, but you have to beat the boss of the second area, which I believe is either 6 or 7 levels. Now, as you can see, I got the Platinum in 20 minutes. So, I mean, it's not really that time-consuming of a Platinum or that difficult. It's a little bit tougher than some of the Ratalaika games, though, because a couple of the levels can be tougher and you only get checkpoints after each area. So once you beat the first boss, you get a checkpoint, but you won't get another one until after you beat the second area. So be a little bit careful with that. Then you have to get a total of 10,000 score, which is going to require you to have basically an extensive combo by not getting hit or dying, so that can be a little bit tricky, but I mean, it's still not too difficult. You have to get a power-up, which you're going to get that one naturally. You have to complete a total of 7 levels, which I believe is going to unlock at the same time that you beat this boss, or maybe one level after, but I think it's at the same time. So basically, complete the first 7 levels of the game, which concludes with this boss fight, and get a total score of 10,000. and you will have this platinum trophy. Like I said, still got to do the North American versions. It's a pretty easy overall platinum, just not quite the easiest of Ratalaika. Persian Knights. Here we've got an Artifacts Money game, the first one that we have covered tonight. So Artifacts Money games, for those who don't know, are very easy point-and-click adventure games. They all follow sort of the same overall game design, and most of them are very easy and can be done in like 3 hours. Well, some of the older ones took longer, but the newer ones are taking less and less time as they're geared more toward trophy hunters. So you have a number of story-related trophies in this entry, because some of the games have very few story-related trophies, some of them have quite a few. So I believe everything through here is going to be an unmissable story-related trophy that took around 2 hours to beat the game, 2 to 3 hours. Then you have to finish the game in expert mode. This is usually what you have to do, but not so much in the more recent games. But usually you have to beat the game in expert, in which you can't just spam click during the hidden object puzzles and just the screen gives you less hints and stuff. I mean, it's not difficult if you're following a guide. PlayStationTrophies.org has guides for a large number of the Artifacts Money games, like text guides. There are video guides for many of them as well. The potion, I believe that preparing one potion... Oh. Now, wait a minute. What? Wait. Hold on. Was this trophy glitched or something? Huh. Now that's really weird. Because why would that be more common? Yeah, that's really weird. That trophy should not be more common than that one. I bet I pointed that out at some point, but that seems really weird. I mean, that one seems correct because it's the least common, but yeah, that's really weird. Okay, well, found something interesting in the video. If you guys have an explanation for that, feel free to let me know. Talk to Darius, basically all of his dialogue options. There are specific places where you have to do this, but if you're following a guide, you won't have a problem with it. Then you have your hidden object puzzle trophies, which are complete all of them without using a hint. Finish one in under a minute, and 3 hidden objects in 3 seconds, all of which are actually pretty forgiving. So this game is actually probably one of the easier ones in this because you don't have to do a fully flawless puzzle and you have a full minute. So this is probably one of the easier ones in terms of the actual hidden object puzzles and their trophies. The palace markings, there's usually like 20 to 30 collectibles in these games. They can be well hidden, but if you follow a guide, it won't be a problem. And then you have minigame trophies for finishing all of them without skipping and finishing one in under a minute, which is usually something in these games that is unmissable. So, I mean, Artifacts Money games usually all play about the same. They're point-and-click adventure games with hidden object puzzles, mini-games, and other kinds of puzzles. But if you follow a guide, you probably will not have much of a problem completing them. Man, we've already gone for like half an hour, and I don't even think I'm through a fifth of the list yet. Jeez, this could be possibly the longest video I've done. Anyway, Neon Junctions. I don't know which particular version of it this is. I guess we'll have to see later. But when it comes to these games, the only versions I ever do are the North American PS4, North American Vita, and EU PS4. And I'm not really doing much EU stacking anymore. It's a waste of money, and it's kind of hurting the idea of trophy hunting in general because, you know, it's going to make developers keep making games like this. This game's okay. It's a puzzle game. It's got platforming in it to a small degree, and just like placing cubes in specific areas. That's really about the best way to describe it. This one takes about an hour. It took me a little bit longer. I guess I must have had to stop somewhere. But you're going to get quite a few trophies just for completing the game, in which case there are, I want to say 35 total levels, or it might be 36 total levels. It's either 35 or 36. Spend 3 minutes on a level. This one's pretty much unmissable. There's a few pretty long missions in the game. Finish a level in under 10 seconds. This can only be done on the final level of the game where you just sprint to the finish. So don't worry if you don't get it naturally, because you won't get it until then. Collect 99 cubes within a level and finish a level with 49 left. You're going to do this on one of the earliest levels of the game where you have to get rid of a bunch of cubes in order to fall into like a building at the very beginning. This is early in the game. Restoring electricity, I believe, is an unmissable story-related trophy that you're going to get later on during the main game. And die at any point by falling off the side. This may come naturally, but if it doesn't, jump off the side. It's as simple as that. Quick, easy 1 hour platinum trophy from Ratalaika with 6 stacks. We'll see if we come back to it later, though. I feel like I did do, this is probably the European version, and I probably did the North American versions later on during the set, but we'll have to see. Knee Deep, this is an obscure one that a lot of you guys have probably never heard of. It's basically Florida Man the game, honestly, would be a decent way to put it, because it's like, it's set up as like a play or something, like a stage show about murders in Florida and a cult and stuff. You know, typical Florida stuff. If you could tell, there was a pause there. Some douchebag was driving down the street on his fart can, motorcycle, butthole kind of person. Anyway, with this trophy list, you basically had to beat the game 3 times, like picking different sort of character traits for each playthrough. It's really kind of a weird game to explain, but a lot of it does come down to having to beat the game multiple times, picking different dialogue options. I believe actually you only had to beat the first of the 3 acts 3 times. You had to beat the whole game once and then beat the first act 2 more times to clean up the remaining trophies. So I don't really remember how you unlock most of these trophies, because I followed a guide. It would be a lot tougher if you didn't. But it basically comes down to picking very specific dialogue options throughout the game. There's no real gameplay. It's mostly just picking dialogue options for like the entirety of the game. So it's not really that complicated. It's just note that you're going to need a guide, because there's a lot of stuff to do in this game, and you're going to have to be pretty careful throughout it. You might want to make backup saves every now and then, just in case you screw up somewhere. But expect a probably 3 playthrough affair, at least for that first chapter or first act of it. Back up your save a lot, and yeah, that's a good way to put it. This is about like a probably 4 to 6 hour platinum if you just rush through it. I think that's about how long it took, but I can't exactly remember. Like I said, this is a very obscure one that most of you guys have probably never even heard of. But as you can see, I did the platinum over the course of about 3 days, 3 or 4 days. So it wasn't really, you know, a challenging game by any means. Just follow a guide, but it's definitely an obscure one. We've got another trope that we're going to see throughout this list. Word Wheel by Palgi. This is our first Palgi game on the list. So this would have been presumably the North American PS4 and Vita versions of Word Wheel. If I remember correctly, this is the one where you had to select letters in a specific order out of a wheel to make words, but I could be wrong on that. So find any 9-letter word is going to come naturally while solving the puzzles. You have to find a bonus word, of which you can just look up a list of them. Very simple. Find 100 words in a single puzzle. There's only a few puzzles where you can do this one on, but it's still, you know, I mean, it's very easy. Although I think it might be, no, it wasn't the last trophy I earned. But you can't do this on every puzzle. Find a total of 500 words. This is going to be probably the last trophy you get. It's a little bit of a grind. Well, no, it wasn't the last trophy I got either, but it was one of the last trophies I got. It is definitely going to be a little bit of a grind. So I think you had to, like, solve each puzzle overall, but you didn't have to find every single word in each puzzle. But if you're just following a guide, you're not going to have any problem finding all the words. Just find a list of all the words. I don't really remember... Oh, wait, now I remember what these are. So basically, these were the sets of puzzles you had to do. So you had to find all of the 9-letter words for each type of puzzle, which were play, star, band, type, rail, page, hint, wind, fast, spin, hair, snow, mind, envy, wing, turn, pain, bold, rain, fuel, joke, even time, wave, stop, and one for finding all of the 9-letter words in the game. So I don't know if that was every single puzzle that you had to do in this game, maybe just only these sets of them. And then, of course, you have a trophy that's fairly recurring across Palgi games where you have to find an inappropriate word somewhere, because this is a family game. It's called Wheelie Mature. This is a family game. So yeah, I believe that's what you had to do, is you just had to find words out of like a wheel, just sort of picking letters to make words. Find 100 total in a puzzle and 500 total overall. So I guess you didn't, I don't know if you had to do every single puzzle. Like I said, it's been a long time, but it's a very easy platinum. This one took about an hour and a half, but I'm sure I could have done it a little bit faster. So when it comes to the Palgi games, the Vita versions, though they are identical, You do need to be a little bit careful with the Palgi games because quite often the first trophy that you would earn in a Vita version of a Palgi game may glitch on you. I don't know if this one did, but it's a common thing where one of the trophies will end up glitching on you, and you may have to delete your game and start over from the beginning, which, I mean, it's a trophy that'll only take a few seconds if you have to do that. But it's a common trope with a lot of the Vita Palgi games. I don't really know why it was always an issue, but it's happened in a few of them. I don't know if it happened in this one, but just be careful and keep that in mind if you are doing the Vita versions of the games. Next up, Resident Evil 5 on the PS3. So this would not have been going for the Platinum Trophy. In fact, Resident Evil 5 was my third Platinum Trophy, and one of the games that kind of made me want to get started trophy hunting more heavily, because I realized, hey, you know, this isn't quite the easiest Platinum Trophy in the world. It takes some skill and some time to get through. You can get through this, you can get through a lot of other games out there. So as for the Platinum, you got a bunch of trophies just for completing the game for your first time. You had to complete the game on Professional, which Professional in this game, the PS3 version is harder because the friendly AI is dumber and you bleed out faster, and the QTEs are a lot less forgiving on the PS3. All of this stuff was improved in the PS4 version, so that's kind of nice to know. But you also have to find all 4 types of eggs, and also you can do Professional and co-op, and that would probably make it a whole lot easier aside from like 1 or 2 chapters, so that might be recommended for the PS3. PS4 version, you can definitely do it all solo because there's only one hard mission on the PS4 version. You have to purchase alternative costumes with your points, obtain all the weapons and fully upgrade them, which is going to be a big money grind. There was, I think it's Chapter 5-2 had the liquor hallway that was good for this. Obtain every kind of treasure. There's about 50 of them. Find all the BSAA emblems and shoot them. There's quite a few of them in the game. You're going to need a guide for them because some of them are really well hidden. The figurines, I don't remember if that was something you had to purchase or something that you sort of unlock naturally. Save a partner 10 times when help and when dying is displayed. Those are both probably going to come naturally because Sheva is an idiot. Pull off 20 headshots is basically unmissable. 5 kills with the knife is pretty much unmissable. 30 kills with the stun rod. The stun rod is a later gun or a later weapon you're going to get, but 30 kills with it is very easy. 30 enemies with the Gatling gun and 30 with the longbow. Those are weapons specific to Chris and Sheva respectively that are a little bit harder to obtain. I believe you have to fully upgrade other weapons to be able to purchase them. And they're not the most efficient weapons compared to the infinite ammo rocket launcher that you get for beating the game in under 5 hours, so I would recommend focusing on that when you go into your professional run. Then you have to get 20 physical kills, which is pretty easy. You have to chain a maximum combo, which I think is like 4 hits, and it relies on your partner actually not being an idiot. You have to get a headshot on a Magini while it's jumping. There's a really easy spot for it during, I think it's level 3-2. Shoot an enemy explosive or Molotov cocktail while they're holding it, or possibly while out of the air. That's probably going to come naturally. Deflect an arrow with a knife is pretty easy. Defeat 3 enemies with 1 grenade or proximity bomb is also pretty easy. 2 enemies with 1 flash grenade is best done on the spiders later in the game. Then defeat a Magini using the electric current from a transformer. You can get that on the very first level of the game. 3 kills with a single fire barrel and 3 kills with a single explosive barrel. Those are both probably going to come naturally as well because they work great for killing out groups of enemies. Master of Removing requires you to do very specific actions during the boss fight on level 5-3. There's a couple different ways to complete it. Also during that level, you have to do enough damage to Wesker to make him leave early, which is pretty easy to accomplish if you have the infinite rocket launcher. Stopping an armored truck by taking out the driver is probably going to come naturally while playing through the game. Defeat an enemy with a rotten egg. You just have to have some rotten eggs, which aren't the most common items, and then hit an enemy with it to kill them. Then you have to defeat a liquor by stabbing it in its heart, which is a specific, like, quick time event. You have to build up a level of trust with your partner, which is, I think, something that kind of comes naturally by the time you beat the game a couple of times. Now we get to the DLC trophies. Remember the days when DLC trophies were on the same list as the base game? That's a bit of a throwback for some of my newer trophy hunters here. So this is where I started earning the trophies at. You have to win 30 matches in each game mode. Slayers, Survivors, Team Slayers, and Team Survivors. All 4 The Team Slayers and Team Survivors modes require 4 people to start, whereas Survivors and Slayers only require 2 people. Therefore, if you happen to have 2 PS3s, you can boost both of these without any other players. For the team modes, you can boost both of them. If you had 4 PS3s, you could boost it all yourself. If you have 2 PS3s and a partner with 2 PS3s, you can boost it very quickly on your own. Now, this DLC was actually different on the PS4. You only had to do 15 wins in each game mode, and you also only had to get, 50 players defeated with physical attacks. But it's a whole lot harder to self-boost on the PS4 because you would need multiple PS4s with multiple copies and multiple PlayStation Plus accounts. So that costs money unless you're just using a bunch of free trials or something. You also had to get a 20 defeated combo in Slayers and a 40 defeated combo in Team Slayers. I suggest having all players go to the same spot on like the village map and try to get your kills right there. That's the easiest place to do it. I think I used either Jill or Sheva, probably Jill for a lot of this, because I think she had a really good weapon set up with a sniper rifle. You had to score 40,000 and 80,000 points in Survivors and Team Survivors respectively, which is very easy. You shouldn't have any problem with those. And also you can do the Survivors and Slayers trophies here with just 2 PS3s if you want. You have to unlock all of the characters in Versus, which is going to require you to spend a lot of points that you're going to get from winning these matches. It's going to take a while to unlock all of them, and you can also use those points to unlock infinite ammo weapons. You have to defeat a total of 100 enemies with physical attacks in Versus, which is relatively easy, especially if you're boosting it. It's not a problem. You can get that along the way during the Survivors mode. Then we get to the Lost in Nightmares DLC, the first of 2 actual story content DLCs. You had to complete it on any difficulty, as well as complete it on Professional, so beat it on Professional, which would be your second playthrough. Complete it with an S ranking, which I believe was based on time only in this version, but I could be wrong. And then you have 2 miscellaneous trophies for destroying the 18 score stars found throughout the level, and inflicting a set amount of damage to Wesker to beat him during the boss fight. To speed up the boss fight, you had to do enough damage. And then you have Desperate Escape, the second DLC and the harder of the 2 because it's very combat oriented. Completing it is easy. Completing it with an S rank is not too difficult either. Completing it with 150 kills in one playthrough and the 3 Agitator Magini in a single playthrough are also very easy, though the 3 Magini that are Agitators is random as they are random spawns. The difficulty came from beating the DLC on Professional, because this is a very long level with a lot of difficult sections and a very difficult final defensive portion. The guy I did it with had a good strategy for the end, so we were able to get through it, but don't even try to do Professional solo. It's probably not going to happen. It's not worth the headache. So yeah, Resident Evil 5 finished up another Resident Evil game, one of a few Resident Evils I think we're going to see in this set of the list. Discovery. This is a Minecraft clone that is terrible. It is not worth the usually $8 that it costs. It is a terrible game. Yeah, if you want to play a game like this, play Minecraft. The good thing is it's about a 15 to 20 minute 100%. Just look at all the materials in the game and experience a full day, as well as travel more than 1,000 meters from the starting point, which can all be obtained within 10 minutes. However, you do need to have a friend that owns the game. This game also has 3 different versions, by the way, and you have to host a game with them. Or join them, it doesn't matter, so just play in co-op with someone on your friends list, so keep that one in mind, that for some reason that's in the game. Killzone Shadowfall. I obtained the Platinum back in 2015, this was in my first 100 Platinums, which was basically complete the game for a lot of the trophies, complete various levels without being spotted, and then a bunch of other miscellaneous trophies, such as killing 20 enemies during the final level and still completing it. Getting a quadruple kill with a frag grenade, kill 6 Hellguests with headshots in a single adrenaline burst, which was a special ability you got, 5 kills with gunfire while using zip lines. Complete the game on hard. Hard mode isn't really that hard in this game. It's actually pretty easy in this game overall. You got the checkpoints and stuff were generous enough. Hard difficulty wasn't a problem. Don't worry too much about that. It's nothing like elite mode in the previous games. You also had to complete the game without shooting any civilians, and there were a few missions where that could happen. So you had to be kind of careful, and you might have had to replay those missions if you didn't get the trophy on your original playthrough. So just be very careful and be very conscientious about that, as the trophy says. I mean, this is a pretty rare platinum trophy, by the way. This is a well under 5% on like PSN profiles. I think it's under 3%. You had to beat the entire campaign without dying, which is basically beat each mission without dying, which is pretty typical for Killzone. You have to find all of the collectibles in the game. There are quite a few. You have to complete a match on every multiplayer map, which the good thing is, though, you can boost every single multiplayer trophy against bots, which is awesome. So even if the servers went down, you'd be fine with one small exception that I'll get to in a second. Win a match on every multiplayer map, again, boost it with bots. Complete a total of 400 challenges, a total of 1 million points are both very time-consuming, grindy trophies that are going to come naturally, while going for Jack of all trades for upgrading all abilities. There's like 13 of them in the game, and they take a really long time. They require anything from like 150 to 500 actions with every ability, usually kills. And a lot of the abilities are kind of terrible, so it's not a fun grind. It's going to take many, many hours, like dozens and dozens of hours of multiplayer. Additionally, there is one ability related to using resupply boxes that you are going to have to boost with another human, because it is not boostable with bots, because the bots don't use the resupply boxes for some reason. Thankfully, you can knock it out in 20 minutes with a partner, so it's not really that big of a problem. Just note that it is going to require you to go online if the servers ever go down. You have to unlock all the attachments for all the weapons, which should also come along the way with getting all the upgradable abilities, and a total of 500 accolades. That's going to come naturally while grinding out all of the abilities. So it was an extremely time-consuming multiplayer for a Killzone game, which is fairly typical for Killzone after seeing 2 and even, 3's multiplayer. But it was the DLCs that I came back for in 2020. So first up was Insurgent, which requires you to reach the maximum level for the 2 new abilities, Hacking and Stealing. Not difficult, but very, very grindy, even though they are doable against bots. You have to get a kill with every primary weapon as an Insurgent, which is actually easy because you can kill yourself as an Insurgent, or you can just kill yourself. You can kill yourself as a class, then spawn in as an Insurgent, pick up the weapon from your dead body, and get a kill with it. That's the easiest way to do it. The online collectibles, this is one is going to require you to actually go online as well, so this is another online-based trophy. Online collectibles, they respawn every like 3 hours within the online maps. It's a really weird system, but there's very specific places where they spawn. If you can find a dead playlist, you can knock this out pretty easily. 25 kills with each retro weapon. There's like 3 retro weapons. They're all pretty easy to get kills with, especially against bots. You have to reach the maximum level for 3 new pieces of gear, the E-Pulse emitter, tactical echo emitter, and the guard drone. They're all pretty easy, but of course they're all a grindy, time-consuming mess, just like the 2 new abilities are. And finally, for this DLC, you have the hardest trophy in the entire game for completing the campaign in Elite Mode. Elite Mode is hard difficulty with no checkpoints and 3 lives total. Basically, you have to complete the entire campaign with 3 lives. So you lose all 3 lives, you have to start over. There are also no checkpoints, so if you lose a life, you go back to the beginning of the mission that you're on. However, this is one of those games where the permadeath mode is not true permadeath, because after every single mission, you can quit and back up your save, which means that if you do screw up somewhere, you can just retrieve your save from the cloud, and you don't have to worry about losing lives. So that's the good thing. The problem is there are a few really obnoxious portions of the game that are just really not well designed for this kind of a game mode, just because they throw huge numbers of enemies at you and they will kill you very quickly, and there's no checkpoints. Some of these missions are very long. The 5th mission, I believe, has a huge defensive portion at the end after like an hour of gameplay, which I failed at multiple times. Oftentimes not even really due to my own mistakes, but due to the way the enemies were positioned during the final battle. Use your drone as much as possible. Let it revive you as much as needed. Just, be extremely cautious while playing through the game. It's going to take a lot of patience to get through. There are some very tough missions. Like I said, the 5th mission was tough, and I believe the 9th mission was also really tough. Then you have the Insurgent Expansion, which is a relatively fun co-op game mode, and it's actually pretty easy. You have to get a total of 250 kills with the Assault class's Breacher shotgun, which is extremely strong. 250 kills with the Marksman's LS-70 sniper rifle, which is also pretty decently strong. Get 50 revives in co-op, which is the only trophy that is going to 100% require you to have another player in the game. So you are going to need to have another player for that trophy as well. So another online trophy. 250 kills with the turrets is extremely easy as well. That's a Tactician class. You have to get 5 brutal melee kills with each of the 4 classes, which is very easy. You don't have to do it all in a single game or anything. You have to bank a total of 2,500 points as each combat roll, but the game doesn't really keep track of this, so you're going to have to manually keep track of it yourself. And you also have to win 50 total co-op games. Now, I'll talk about this more in a second because this game actually has a separate trophy list for the Intercept DLC that adds a few extra trophies that just has 100%. It has the first 7 trophies as well as 5 new ones for 250 kills with the minigun, which is a purchasable item. That's pretty easy. 250 with the jetpack. That's another purchasable item. But you also have to kill 10 boss characters, which are random spawns on higher levels. So unless you're playing solo, for the most part, you might not get this one by the time you win 50 games, especially if you're doing easier, maps and setups. Same with the 50 air support drones, though they are a little bit more common. There are a lot of them, though. 500 headshots is pretty self-explanatory, but it may take a few extra matches to get through. So I actually got through both of these at like the exact same time, which was kind of crazy, or all 3 of these, because... Okay, that's not actually true, because the trophies don't pop until... Oh, wait a second. I'm dumb, because that's the... This version of the game, if you complete all of the trophy requirements in the base game version of this, you will actually auto-pop all of these trophies upon spawning into the Intercept standalone, which is awesome. Now, as for winning the 50 games, you can do this solo, and I did a majority of it solo, but you're going to want to be careful because it can be a little bit tricky before you learn the game mode, so it might take a while to get the hang of it, but you can certainly do it solo. At that point, it just becomes a bit of a grind. But the fact that you can get a free 100% here if you do everything in the original version is pretty awesome. Just a nice little rewarding thing. And with that, I've actually finished the entire Killzone franchise with the exception of Killzone 3 multiplayer, which I never started. I probably would have if it hadn't have been a kind of buggy with its trophies at the time of the server shutting down. Next up, Planet RIX 13. This is a walking and point and click game that's a very easy platinum trophy. It takes about half an hour. You have to die in various ways throughout the course of this very short game for a bunch of trophies. You have to find all the locations, which I believe is unmissable. You have to complete the game, of course story related, pretty simple. Making an object with a 3D printer, I believe, is an unmissable trophy. I believe the crystals are needed to unlock things as well. But the potion with 5 different components, I believe this one is missable because there's only like one chance you get to do it, so that one is missable. The servers, I think, is technically a story-related thing, but I could be wrong on that. It's been a long time since I played the game. Then you have to try to fly away from the planet, which I believe is like sort of an alternative ending of sorts. You have to restore the repeaters, which I believe is part of the story, and then a couple more death-related trophies. You also have to do 2 different endings here, but you can back up your save before it, so you don't have to worry. And I believe the game even has like a saving system within it that allows you to save in multiple slots or something, and redo the ending so that you can pick each of the 2 different options. It's a very quick and easy platinum trophy. I recommend following a guide for it. It took me a little under half an hour, so as long as you follow a guide, you should have no problem with it. I think this was the North American and European PS4 versions of the game because it's not a cross-buy game for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, quick and easy platinum trophy. Next up, Crossovers by Paugi. This is another quick and easy Paugi game. This would have been the North American PS4 and Vita versions of the game. So this is basically crossword puzzles. Effectively, and you just have to, in each one, you have to find each of the different letters of the alphabet within a puzzle. I don't really remember this game that well because it's one of the more obscure ones, but from what I remember, I believe it's like you get a crossword puzzle and you get a set of letters to pick between, and you have to pick the correct letter from what I remember of this game. And this one did take about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, so this is one of the longer ones. but you had to find each type of letter missing from a puzzle as the final letter that you picked. Then you had to find the correct letter on your 4th attempt, so as long as you had a guide up and knew what the correct letter was, you would just pick the 3 incorrect letters. Then you have to solve a puzzle without making a single mistake. Again, if you have a guide, just select it from the guide. It's pretty self-explanatory. Unscramble the wrong word. That does sometimes happen, and that's pretty easy. You can unscramble incorrect words 10 times for another trophy. It's slightly grindy because you're probably not going to do that one naturally, especially if you're following a guide. Unscramble 3 other words before solving one. Same thing sort of as this one. So those are ones that you might not get naturally. Those are ones you're going to have to pre-plan yourself for a guide. This one, I believe, has to do with picking the wrong word, like a specific wrong word on certain puzzles. And you have to try an answer that isn't even a word. That's pretty obvious. Just pick something that is not a word. Try the same word twice. That's incorrect. That's also pretty easy. Try out 5 different wrong answers for the same clue. That's also pretty easy and might even come naturally if you aren't following a guide. You have to spend at least a minute considering a solution, so stay on a puzzle for a full minute before you answer it. Pretty simple. You have to... This one you have to spell something specifically wrong. I don't really remember what. You have to do an inappropriate word, as to be expected with most Palgi games. Oh, grow up. Yep, you probably should grow up, but you had to know that people were going to do this, especially trophy hunters. I mean, we grew up, some of us grew up in the days of the heyday of Modern Warfare 2 online. Like, you can't tell us not to be inappropriate. And then solve every puzzle. This one had, like, I think over 100 of them probably, so it had a lot of puzzles to solve, so that's why it took longer. The Vita version is identical. I don't think this is one of the ones where you have to worry about the first trophy glitching, but as you can see, this one, took me right around an hour and a half, maybe a little bit over an hour and a half. So it is a little bit longer by Palgi standards, though none of them are as long as the word search one. The Walking Dead final season. This would have been the North American disc version of the game, as this game has 4 versions: a North American disc, a North American download, a European disc, and a European download. So this game is a little bit different compared to most of the other modern Telltale games in that it actually has a lot of missable trophies. Now, I actually wrote a trophy guide for this game, which is kind of cool. Not really a guide, but an actual walkthrough for how to do everything in a single playthrough, so I highly suggest checking that out on PSN Profiles. It got pretty well reviewed by a lot of people, so that's good. It only took me about a week to get the platinum, so it's not that long of a platinum, obviously, but, I mean, it's a Telltale game. It takes, 8-ish hours, maybe 10 hours at most. But it does have a lot of missable trophies to watch out for, especially in the first episode. So in the first episode, you're going to get 3 trophies for completing it. But like tickling AJ versus doing another option is missable. Using all the traps is missable. Talking to everyone is missable. Finding the heart graffiti is missable. Spearing all the fish is obnoxious and missable. And it's sort of set up at a bad time to where if you miss it, you're going to have to go back a few minutes to try it again. Hitting all the piñata swings is... I mean, it's missable, but this one's kind of tough to miss. You're going to want to use a lot of backup saves when you're playing this game, so you're going to want to constantly be saving in different slots and backing up your save along the way just to be very careful. Shooting all the rabbits, I believe this was the hardest trophy in the game overall. It's at 9.4, so it's not the rarest, but I believe it was the most difficult total trophy in the game just because of the way it's set up, because it's very easy to miss and sets you back a few minutes if you miss it up. You have to pet the dog in the first episode, which is very easy but missable. And then you have to find all of the collectibles and place them all within your room. There's about 6 of them, I believe, in the first episode. So then you have to complete all 3 acts of the second episode. This one, I believe, might be... No, this one isn't story-related. This one is, you have to... Be very careful with this one. Make sure you inspect everything when you're setting up defenses for the facility. This one requires you to make very specific choices within the greenhouse. You have to do it in a very specific set of steps. Taste a mushroom in the greenhouse. That one's pretty easy. Then pet Rosie again, also pretty easy. This one is like for archery training, but this one is almost impossible to miss. I'm not sure. Has anyone even... very, very few people have missed that trophy, so that one's not much to worry about. Then you have 2 different trophies for different options that you can pick here, either just being friends or romantic with another character within the game. So you're going to want to backup save for this one. It's one of the many places where you're going to need one to be able to clean up trophies more quickly. Because in this game, there is no act select. You can reselect episodes to replay, but you can't select individual acts within the game or chapters or checkpoints. So if you miss something, you're going to be replaying an entire episode, which is going to set you back a couple hours. This is a story-related trophy, I believe, so this one should be unmissable story-related. Then you have to find and place all the collectibles. I think there's around 6 or 7 of them again, but there might be more, there might be less. Then you get to episode 3, where you get 3 trophies for completing the episode. You have to pet the dog once again. Then Did No Harm, I believe this is a specific option in the game. This one, I believe, is an unmissable trophy. This one may also be an unmissable trophy, but I'm not 100% sure on those. I think they might be unmissable. This one requires you to try to get AJ to lick a salt lick as a callback to the first season of the game. This one, I believe, is a missable trophy requiring you to be stealthy in one area of the game. Same with this one. So there are a number of missable trophies here. This one, I believe, is not story-related, but it's pretty tough to miss. There aren't as many collectibles in Episode 3, I don't believe, but they're always missable once again. Episode 4 is by far the easiest, as there's really not much to worry about in terms of missing here. You have to complete the act, as usual, or complete the episode, I mean. Then this one is story-related. This one is story-related. This one is story-related. This one is story-related. Or, yeah, I believe actually, are all of those story-related? No, that can't be right. One of these, okay, one of these is, yeah, one of these is story-related and one of them is not. So I believe they're related to mutually exclusive choices from what I remember. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, I'm wrong. So what you had to do was, there's a choice you have to make during the end of the first act as to whether or not you trust AJ. And whatever you pick will give you either one of these trophies, or is it one of these 3 trophies is unmissable no matter what, and the other one is, I think it's this one that's unmissable. I believe that's a story-related trophy. Yeah, that one's story-related. Okay. And then the other 2 are mutually exclusive based on the decision you make at the end of Act 1 that doesn't unlock until the end of Act 2. And then you have to find the collectibles. There's only like 4 in this episode, and they're fairly easy to find. This was a solid game, but it is a little bit more complicated, so do be careful if you're going for it, because you are probably going to want a guide for it. Next up, another Paugi game, Mix-Ups by Paugi. This one is, I believe, the North American PS4 and Vita versions. So I believe that this one was all about just picking letters, like solving anagrams or something. And you have to just solve every puzzle in shapes, body parts, sharp things, baseball, palindromes, astrology, playing cards, coffee, Greek letters, vegetables, things that fly, the dentist, movies with sequels, Japan, elements, in the hotel, photography, at the bakery, weather, astronomy, shades of blue, musical terms, donuts, salads, shinies, beans, military ranks, trains, British kings and queens, pasta, bread, and facial features. So I believe it was just solving anagrams, and if you have a guide, this one is very easy, and you don't even have to solve all the puzzles. It took me about 2 hours, but I doubt I was playing the whole time. So it's just solving puzzles, but I believe it's selecting letters, but I could be wrong, because again, it's been a long time since I've played some of this stuff. So was this one of the Vita ones that... No, this was not one of the Vita ones that I had any issues with. Okay, so that's good. If you were really trying to speedrun these games, you would start with the final set of puzzles and go backwards, because it takes less time than to scroll through the whole menu to get to them. So it's a slight speedrun strategy if you really care about that. Then we have Life is Strange 2, so the second Life is Strange game. This game is very, very easy, just like the other Life is Strange entries. In order to get the Platinum Trophy, you have to complete all episodes of the game, of which there are 5 episodes. And in each episode, you have to find all of the optional collectibles, of which there are 6, I believe, or 7. It's either 6 or 7 optional collectibles in every episode, and you have to start a drawing at a time in each episode, of which you're going to have multiple chances. So this game is extremely easy, but it does take a little bit longer than the other 2 Life is Strange games. This one's more like 10 to 12 hours versus the older like 8 to 10 hours for the others. And I just personally wasn't as big of a fan of this one. The powers don't really play into the story and game design quite as much. The game gets a lot more political than it probably needed to be. It's just, I wasn't as big a fan of this one, so hopefully whatever the third Life is Strange game is more like the first one. But that was just me. I mean, the game's still decent. It's still an extremely easy platinum. As long as you have a guide for the collectibles, you're going to be fine. Alright guys, I'm going to take a quick break here because I've been recording for a little over an hour. Let my voice recover for just a moment and reset the video. Alright guys, I am now back from a break that went for just over an hour, and we're through maybe a third of the trophy list, so this is gonna be fun. Before we continue on, let's have a word from this video's sponsor. Oh wait, I don't have a sponsor. Evan Williams, shot glass maker, sparkling water maker, controller makers, Nespresso, anyone out there want to give me a sponsorship? Because I could use it to buy things. I have games I want to buy. I want to buy a PSVR someday. I have the money ready for a PS5, but can't find one. Yeah. Okay, so that cringe aside, let's keep going. So our next game is Modern Warfare 2019. So I got the Platinum back in 2019, so I think I wonder when I got this Platinum. I think this was around number 405 or so. Yeah, so I got the Platinum before I had done, or after I had finished Red Dead 2, because that was in September of 2019. So this is the fastest and easiest Call of Duty Platinum to date. It was a surprisingly fun experience. Like, this game's campaign is stellar. The multiplayer is a little hit or miss depending on who you ask. A lot of people love Warzone, though, so there's that. And the Spec Ops mode was complete garbage. But if you're going for the Platinum Trophy, you're in luck because it's extremely easy and can be done in under 15 hours. So it's basically just completing the campaign and doing a ton of miscellaneous actions throughout missions. So for this one, you have to blow up 3 tripwires with explosives, so throw a grenade at them and blow them up. There's a few good missions for that. 4 enemies with a single Molotov, there's a few specific missions for that. I believe you do this, a lot of these on like the airfield mission or something. 3 enemies while on a ladder. I think you can really only grind this out on like the 10th mission. It's the Wolf's Den, I think was the name of it. I feel like that stands out for some reason. Crash a helicopter by shooting the pilot. This can be done in that airfield mission. This is also the best place to get the Wildfire Trophy. This one is one of the harder trophies in the game. Take down a flying helicopter with a Molotov cocktail. It requires a pretty specific throw, but I mean, it's still pretty easy. For this one, just wait until you find an enemy that is in the down state and throw a smoke grenade at him. I believe the 5th mission or 6th mission in the game was good for this. So then you have to complete the campaign on any difficulty and complete it on Veteran or Realism. Now, Veteran can be a little bit tricky at times in this game because you die extremely quickly. The thing is that in this game, not only are the checkpoint system really, really generous, but on Veteran, the enemies also seem to die a little bit faster, so it's a more fair, higher difficulty, to where, you know, you die very quickly, but the enemies also seem to go down pretty quickly as well, so you hit them, you know, twice and they're going to be down. So that is kind of nice, and there's not much in the way of infinite spawns aside from a few areas. So Veteran is really not that hard. You can go through your first playthrough on Veteran. There's no collectibles or anything to worry about this time. Realism in this game is not like realistic in Black Ops 3. The realism in this game is just Veteran with no HUD. That's the only difference. So it's actually a really fun way to play the game. I highly recommend it. There's also nothing for the collateral damage score, which is so barely even mentioned by anyone, even though it was a cool idea that was just so terribly executed. So then you have to get a lot of mission-specific trophies. So you have the Fog of War machine gun with a frag grenade that's very easy, very early in the game. Don't hit any civilians during Piccadilly. It looks like that's actually more common, which is surprising because that can be a little bit iffy. This one is in the third mission. You have to hide in you have to kill all the enemies in a specific area of the mission. This one, you have to carry a single cinder block through the entire level, which was a fantastic trophy idea, by the way. Very big fan of that one. Then you have to, this one's during the fourth or fifth mission, that kill house mission or clean house mission that's like one of the best missions in the entire franchise. You also have to complete it without getting shot. And only shooting each enemy once. So that's a little bit tricky. There's a very specific way you have to do it. I actually wrote most of the trophy guide for this game. But that's a really fun mission, even though there are a couple of slightly trickier trophies here. Now, I will say, this reminds me, because this is from the Piccadilly mission, this game has awful trophy delay. It is one of those PS4 games that for some reason has an unbearably bad trophy delay compared to like every other PS4 game, like to the level of PS3 or often worse than the PS3. So if trophies don't unlock immediately, that's probably why. 4 trucks with 4 drone strikes, that's in the embassy mission. This is in the one where you get that really long-range sniper rifle. This one is also from that sniper rifle mission. This one is during the mission where you're playing as the 2 kids, and it's at the very end of it. This one is during, the Wolf's Den, so that was that mission where you get the ladder kill trophies. The 1911 stuff, you want to do that on Recruit. Like, you want to get some of these miscellaneous trophies on Recruit just because you do die pretty quickly on Veteran and get detected pretty quickly. This is during the mission where you escape from the prison, as is this one. They're both pretty easy, so they shouldn't give you too much trouble as long as you're careful with this one. Then you have to get a kill with 8 different weapons during... This is one of the last missions in the game. It's like the third to last mission of the game. It's pretty short, and you pick up a whole bunch of different weapons throughout the mission. You have to get kills with at least 8 of them. Then you have to shut off all the power in Going Dark, which is pretty easy, but you have one of the more difficult trophies here where you have to kill all the enemies in each area without anyone calling reinforcements. It's not so much avoiding being caught as it is killing every single enemy, because there's a lot of them, so you have to be pretty careful when doing that. And then you also have to reach the entrance of Barkov's lab in the final mission using only drone strikes, which is actually very easy, especially if you're on Recruit. But I did a lot of these trophies on Veteran. So let's see, it looks like the earliest trophies I got were on the 25th. So I guess that was when I streamed the game that first time. So it only took me 5 or 6 days to get the Platinum. So it's a very quick and easy Platinum trophy. It's nothing much to worry about, even for people who aren't as experienced with Call of Duty. The DLC is a little bit more of a different story. You have to complete the original 4 Special Operations missions, and a few of them can be pretty annoying just because the Spec Ops mode is so horribly designed. But supposedly this has gotten easier, and I haven't played the Spec Ops since the game... Well, I haven't played it since I earned the trophy, which was, 4 or 5 months after the game came out, so supposedly it might be easier now, but I'm not entirely sure about that. It's not terrible if you have a good group, but if you don't have a good group, you're going to have a lot more trouble. It's not really recommended to do this with randoms, or else you're probably going to struggle a lot more. You're going to need good communication. You're going to probably need a group, but it's not, terrible. It's certainly not the hardest Call of Duty trophy ever. More on difficult Call of Duty trophies later on, because I believe that's our first Call of Duty game to pop up on the list. The Perplexing Orb is a bit of a puzzle platformer game where you play as like a rolling ball and you have to navigate various courses. So you have to clear you have to clear all 7 worlds in the game, as well as the 4 challenge levels, of which the very last challenge level is actually pretty tough. It's by far the hardest part of the game. This one's going to be unmissable. You're going to get it by completing your first level. Collect any treasure chest is pretty much unmissable. I believe the rocket power-up is unmissable. The artifacts are these little, like, yellow block things, and that's also unmissable. Then the heart pickup is a little bit more missable because they're a little bit out of the way, but they're still pretty easy to find, especially if you're looking at, like, a guide or something for where one is. Fall off of a stage. If you somehow don't get this, then you are a god of gaming. Then you have to knock the can off the stage in 2-3, which is a very specific, mission-specific trophy, so you might want to look at a video for that one. There are 4 shortcuts in the game. You're probably going to have to look at a guide for those because some of them are pretty obscure. Then you have to finish all of the bonus levels in the game, of which there are 3, and it's either the bonus levels or the challenge levels that are unlocked by finding enough artifacts to unlock them and pay for them. I think it's the challenge levels, but I could be wrong on that. And then there are a few specific levels where you have to complete them while collecting all the artifacts. The game is an easy platinum trophy that takes like 1 to 2 hours, so it's not really much to worry about. So actually, no, it took me just under an hour. Okay, thought it took me a little bit longer than that. So it's a quick and easy platinum trophy. Just know that it can be a teeny bit frustrating at times. Path of Sin Greed. This is another Artifex Mundi game. So this one, you've got a few story-related trophies early on. You have to finish Visions in less than 40 seconds. This trophy's highly missable, so you're going to want to have backup saves before each Vision section of the game, and try to do the first one as quickly as possible so you have a little more time for the second one. Then there are a certain number of animals that you have to interact with in the game, but that's pretty easy. That's just a collectible type. As long as you follow a guide, this is another, quick and easy Artifex Mundi game. The Deduction, I believe, is a story-related trophy, but I could be wrong on that. You have to finish 3 hidden object puzzles without a hint, finish one with less than 3 mistakes, finish one in less than 20 seconds, and all without using a hint. So for these, that's fairly typical Artifex Mundi, so the no hints one and the less than 3 mistakes are pretty typical. The 20 seconds one is a little bit tight of a time limit. There's probably like one specific puzzle that was good for this, so definitely keep that in mind when you're going for it. That is a little bit tougher than some of the other ones. You have to finish the safe cracking minigame without skipping. You have to finish most of the minigames without skipping, but I think you are actually allowed to skip some of the minigames in this one. You have to finish one in less than 30 seconds, which is generally going to be unmissable if you're following a guide. You have collectibles to find, of which there's usually around 30 per game. And that's it. You don't have to do the bonus chapter, nor do you have to beat this game on Expert, which is kind of nice. So beat the game on Casual while doing all the miscellaneous trophies and puzzle-related trophies, and you will be good to go. This game took around 3 hours to do. I mean, it wouldn't have taken that long if I was probably playing it the whole time, but that's that. Resident Evil 6, so our next Resident Evil game. I obtained the Platinum Trophy. So I actually got this game for my birthday back in 2012, when I think my birthday was on whatever the day this game released. And never really played it that much after it came out, because I just wasn't really a big fan of it. But it's actually a pretty easy Platinum. It's one of the easiest in the numbered franchise. So you're going to get a bunch of trophies here just for completing the 4 campaigns, which is a total of 20 missions. You also have to complete the campaign on Professional. But that's easy for 2 reasons. For one, you get infinite ammo weapons. You can equip up to 3 of them at once, as well as other skills, depending on what your setup is, what you prefer. So you might want like infinite shotgun and infinite magnum. There's no infinite rocket launcher, but you really don't need it. Professional is not that hard in this game. But the best thing about it is, if you're worried about Professional, you don't even actually have to beat the game on Professional, because you only have to beat the final checkpoint of each level in order to beat the game on Professional. If you beat the final checkpoint, it counts for the mission. So yeah, makes that a whole lot easier. Customizing your dog tags is going to be an early trophy you get. Same with earning titles. Those are going to be pretty much unmissable. You have to purchase all the skills, which is a big skill point grind. It's a big XP grind, a big money grind, or whatever you want to call it. There's a specific area near the end of Chris's campaign that's good for this, but it is a big grind. There's a lot you're going to have to do to grind out all of the skills. I think you need like 900,000 points or something. 5 stealth kills is very easy. Coup de grace 10 times is easy. 3 counters in a row is pretty easy. Then defeat an enemy while dying and then recover. That one, especially if you only have like 1 enemy left or your partner isn't there, that one's pretty easy. Rescue your partner 10 times is very easy. Kill 10 enemies with every weapon in the game is a little bit grindy, but it's not really too difficult. 10 enemies pushed off of a high place is pretty easy. There's an easy place to grind a lot of these. Earn a level 4 title, I believe is pretty much unmissable while you're playing through. You have to collect 3 figures, which I believe you purchase, or you get from like finding collectibles or something, but it's not too difficult. 20 Hydra quick shot kills is pretty easy. That's one of the specialer weapons in the game. I think it's used by one of the side characters, Helena, I think is her name. Then this one, the 50 meters away with a headshot, requires you to use Piers' sniper rifle, I believe, during the Chris campaign. 10 enemies with a stun rod charge. That one, I believe, has to be done with Sherry, but I could be wrong, so that's during the Jake and Sherry campaign. Then 500 zombies and 500 Javo and 100 enemies from a Crystallid. These are all a little bit grindy, but some of them will probably come naturally while beating the game. Then you have a few campaign-specific trophies. You have to save at least 2 female survivors in the Cathedral during Leon's campaign, complete the VTOL piloting section without it getting hit during Chris's campaign, shoot down the helicopter pilot with a magnum shot during Jake's campaign, and sneak through a section of the aircraft carrier during Ada's campaign without being noticed. So a few chapter-specific, character-specific trophies. You have to collect a total of 150 medals, which should come naturally while going for all the other trophies, especially if you're doing the DLC, and all of the serpent emblems, of which there are quite a few in the game. So the Platinum Trophy is easy, it's just kind of grindy, so it's not really too much to worry about. This is the PS3 version, by the way. So then you have the DLC, and the DLC is actually easier in the PS3 version, purely because you can self-boost it, and you can self-boost almost every trophy with just 2 people, meaning if you have 2 PS3s and 2 copies of the game, you can do almost everything yourself, though there's still a few things you can't quite do yourself, and we'll get to that in a minute. So with this DLC, you have to send 2,000 enemies over by killing your own people, like killing people on your side. This one is actually easier to do if you're playing with another human player and boosting, because then you can rack up a lot more kills in a single playthrough and speed it up a little bit. You have to win on 3 different stages, no difficulty there. The 30 combo chain is a little bit difficult if you're not playing with another human, simply because they tend to die pretty quickly when they're AFK. You also have to defeat your opponent 10 times with the enemy that you specifically sent, which is going to require you to handle both controllers at once unless you're playing with another human. And then win while dying may come naturally while going for the 2,000 kills, but it's also easy to boost. Survivors, this DLC is pretty easy. This one is basically just team deathmatch or deathmatch. You have to win 5 games in a row, get 100 total kills, win using only physical attacks, and win without anyone on your team being killed. I believe the first 3 can all be done in 1v1 with yourself, but I believe that these 2 do require at least 3 people to be in the game, and are better done with a total of 4 people just to balance out teams. So this one is pretty simple, just win without either person on your team dying. That's pretty self-explanatory. This one, I believe you have to kill an opponent while playing as a zombie, like when you die, so that one can be a little bit trickier to set up, and it's definitely recommended to boost these 2 with other human players, but those are the only 2 that actually require it. Predator is the easiest of the 4 DLCs. It's the mode where you're dealing with Ustanok. You have to win 20 times against Ustanok. You have to be playing as him and eliminate all players in less than a minute, which is easy if you're playing 1v1. You have to defeat him without anyone on your team being captured, which is easy if you're playing one-on-one and boosting it. He has to capture a total of 50 humans, which may take up to 50 games if you're boosting one-on-one, and defeat him with only 1 agent remaining. You're going to get naturally if you're boosting 1v1. And finally, there's Siege. This is the most annoying of the 4 DLCs, and this one is probably a lot easier to do if you're doing it with another human. Winning 10 times is easy, but the other trophies are a little bit tougher. Defeating the BSAA as a creature without dying once, actually that one's pretty easy to do as well, solo, just, 1v1. But then protecting the BSAA without them getting hurt is a little bit tough because they're pretty stupid, and they will often just get hit out of nowhere. And then you have to defeat them 100 times as a creature, which is gonna be pretty time-consuming and kind of challenging. And you also have to defeat a total of 100 player-controlled agents and 100 creatures. I don't think they actually have to be player-controlled. I think that trophy is actually mislabeled. So this is a very grindy DLC. This DLC alone is going to take like 10 hours, so you're in for the long haul on that one. It's the most annoying of the 4, so just be ready. And around that same time, I did Resident Evil 2 Remake. So this game was a lot of fun, would highly recommend it. It is actually quite easy because you can purchase all of the infinite ammo weapons from the PlayStation Store in a bundle for like $5. I highly recommend doing that because it's going to cut down on your total number of playthroughs and it's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier. So you get some story-related trophies here, though I think that to get each of these, you're going to have to complete the game multiple times, because you are going to have to complete the game 4 total times at least, because you have to complete Leon's story and Claire's story A and B, which is how you get the true ending. So you are going to have to beat the game at least 4 times, so once for each ending. Combining 2 items and increasing your inventory and customizing your weapon are all pretty much unmissable. Kill with a knife is pretty much unmissable, even though knives aren't as effective in this game. Sub-weapon counterattack is basically unmissable as long as you have one. Then board up a window is highly recommended and pretty easy, just do it once. Destroy Mr. Raccoon, that's one of the collectible types in the game, though there's quite a few of them. You have to open up all the safes in the game, and there's not too many of them, but you're going to need a guide for all their locations and their codes if you want to get through it quickly. Like, you may want to just enjoy your first playthrough, but after that, you're going to probably want to speed through your future playthroughs with a guide. Shoot a grenade after you stick it in an enemy's mouth. That's pretty easy. 3 enemies at once with a sub-weapon, so you're probably going to have to use a grenade for that one, and there's only a few places you can do it. Shoot an enemy out of the air, either a zombie dog or a licker. There's a number of places you can do this. It's fairly easy and may come naturally. This one, I believe, you just have to use a flash grenade on a licker, so that's fairly easy. Then shoot Tyrant's hat off. You'll probably end up getting that one naturally, especially like the first time you deal with him and if you don't know what to expect when he first shows up. Defeat the stage 2G using the crane only once. This is a little bit later in the game. You basically have to do a ton of damage to him and then hit him with the crane. This one requires you to use the photographs to find 2 hidden items. I didn't get that till a little bit later. Fully upgrade your inventory during a playthrough is pretty easy. Use only Ada's, like, energy thing to complete her segment, so no shooting enemies. Pretty easy on the easiest difficulty. The bedroom within 60 seconds actually gave me some trouble. That one took me a few tries just because it's pretty unforgiving. You have to be pretty quick in this one. The stage 4G with 4+ minutes left and the Super Tyrant with 5+ minutes left, both of those are pretty easy, especially if you're doing them on subsequent playthroughs with the infinite ammo rocket launcher. You have to read all the files, of which there are a lot. There's like over 60. There's about 20 Mr. Raccoons. There's about 10 safes in the game. So quite a few collectibles to find throughout the game. So you may want to look at a guide for that stuff. Then you have to complete Leon's story on standard or hardcore with an S ranking, as well as Claire's, but you can do the A or B scenario, whichever one you prefer. You also have to complete the story on hardcore for each of them, which is the harder difficulty. But all 4 of these trophies are very easy with the Infinite Rocket Launcher because I believe the S ranking purely comes down to time and number of saves or something. So it's really not that hard if you have the Infinite Ammo Rocket Launcher because you can basically just melt everything instantly. Just don't make too many stupid mistakes anywhere and you should be good to go. Same with the hardcore difficulty. Then you have to complete the game without healing, which is not the easiest thing in the world, but it's not that hard either if you're playing on the easiest difficulty because then your health regenerates up to, like, medium level. Complete the game without the item box means you're going to have to beat it without any of your special weapons, but that's not really that difficult. I mean, it's not a big deal once you've beaten the game a couple times and know how to run through it. This one will probably come naturally while playing through the game on one of your playthroughs, and then you have to complete the 4th Survivor Extra mode, which is the hardest trophy in the game if you're using the item unlocks, because the 4th Survivor doesn't give you access to them. It's a bonus mode where you have to escape as Hunk or Herc or whatever his name is, with a limited inventory and a ton of enemies. Now, this one gives a lot of people trouble, but I didn't have that much of a problem with it, surprisingly. Like, this is usually the kind of thing that gives me a lot of trouble, but I really didn't have too many issues with it. I beat it within, like, 5 tries, I think. Or it was less than 10 tries. It might have been 5, but it was less than 10 tries, so it didn't take me that long, and it wasn't really all that difficult. It just takes a little bit of patience, practice, and a little bit of luck, but it's not terrible. Now, another Survivor, this is an extremely easy DLC for finding a single extra collectible that was added in later. It's in Kendo's gun shop during Leon's scenario, so it's very easy to get. Ghost Survivors is a bit of a different story. So, finding all the Mr. Raccoons is easy, there's like 10 of them, but you also have to complete the final scenario on the higher difficulty, which is probably tougher than anything in the main game. I had quite a bit of trouble with this one. It's going to take a lot of practice. It's going to take some luck with the enemies, and if they hit you or not, and if you get decent items, so it's going to take a mixture of skill and luck. But overall, fantastic game, a lot of fun to play, highly recommended. Relatively easy platinum and 100% overall, not terribly time-consuming. Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered. So this one was a lot of fun. It's basically the same trophy list as the original Modern Warfare 2's campaign with some new stuff. So you have a number of unmissable story-related trophies. You have to beat the game on Veteran, which is going to get you some other trophies as well. Veteran is not very difficult in this game compared to some of them, but it's not the easiest Veteran in the franchise. It's not as easy as some of the later Call of Duty games, so you may still run into a few tricky spots. Then you have a bunch of miscellaneous trophies related to specific missions. Running the pin in under 30 seconds isn't much of a problem. Planting the C4 and Cliffhanger silently is not much of a problem either. Then 7 chickens in 10 seconds is a little bit tricky. You're going to need a good weapon for it. 10 kills with 1 Predator missile is pretty much unmissable. Riot Shield kill is pretty tough to miss as well. 4 enemies with 4 shots during a slow-mo breach is probably going to come naturally, but there's a number of places you can do it. 6 enemies in a row with a thermal weapon is very easy. 2 enemies with a single bullet is basically unmissable. Pretty much everyone gets it during the snowmobile mission, so the cliffhanger mission. You have to find all 45 intel items, which isn't too hard, and this time around the intel actually unlocks cheats, which is kind of awesome. 20 enemies in a row while driving a vehicle. There's only a couple of parts of the game where you can do this. Cliffhanger is probably your best bet, but you can also do it on the final mission. 2 repelling enemies in a row before they land. I don't remember where I got this, but it's still pretty easy. Then 5 enemies in a row with 5 different weapons or attachments. Just as long as you know that that trophy is there, you shouldn't have a problem getting it. 10 kills in a row with akimbo is very easy as long as you can find an akimbo weapon. They're not overly common though. Kill an enemy without them ever knowing you were there with a knife. I think this might have been the last trophy I got, and it did require, like, it's a little bit buggy as to what counts, but it's still fairly easy overall. 3 enemies with a single shot from a grenade launcher is very easy and will probably come naturally. Then instructing the Honey Badger to kill 80 enemies in Exodus. You just have to be careful, let the Honey Badger do all of the work, and you should be fine. Then don't get the Predator drone shot down in Contingency, which is a little bit tougher. Like, you have to know exactly how to do it. You have to be very fast at one point, but it's still not too hard. Now we get to the new trophies that were new additions to this version of the game. This one is awesome. You have to ring the red bell in both rooms and survive the attack. It's best done on Recruit, but it's kind of awesome that they put this in. It's in the museum. I won't spoil anything about it because it's fun and it's awesome. So then you have to beat this time in SSDD. This is the probably hardest trophy in the game, because the time limit is very, very strict. It's like 19 seconds or something ridiculous like that. This one's tough. This one is going to take some tries. This one took me a good hour to get. I mean, a little bit of it comes down to where the enemies are placed. And yeah, it's a tough trophy. It's going to take a lot of practice, even if you follow guides. So this one, you have to complete a mission without reloading or using melee attacks. Okay, so I don't really remember what mission I did that on, but there's a number of missions that are good for that one, so it's not really that big a deal. This one is done on the very first mission of the game. It's like that trophy for shooting Makarov in Call of Duty 4. Complete every mission without dying or reloading a checkpoint is not going to be too difficult, but there's only a couple of missions that might give you trouble. Just keep track of it throughout the game so you don't have to do extra playthroughs. This one is pretty easy. Just use the RPGs or the Semtexes you have access to get it. This one, 11 kills with Claymores and Loose Ends is pretty easy because you get a lot of Claymores. 10 helicopters with the Javelin of their own accord is a little bit tough because there's only about 10 you can hit, and it's pretty time sensitive, so you have to be careful with this one. The helicopter with frag grenades in Only Easy Day. This one, I don't remember which mission this was, but it wasn't really a difficult trophy. This one is for finding 3 hidden collectibles in the first mission that are brand new, and it's pretty easy if you just have a guide for it. And then you have to kill an enemy with the impact of a frag grenade hitting their head, which is pretty easy. Just wait till an enemy goes down and hit him with the frag grenade. Very fun game, loved playing it. Really hoping we get Modern Warfare 2 campaign, Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer and Spec Ops remastered sometime in 2021, given that Vanguard is supposedly a complete disaster right now. Next up, Black Ops 2, another Call of Duty game completed. I got the Platinum back in 2017. You got a lot of trophies in this game for completing the story. You had to complete the game on Veteran, which wasn't really difficult at all. But you also had to complete all of the challenges, of which there were 160, 10 for each of the 16 levels, and this was by far the hardest part of the game, because a lot of those challenges could be fairly frustrating or were later in the mission, so if you failed them, you had to replay the entire mission. Ziggy comes to mind, the protecting the two vehicles during... what mission was it? During the stealthy mission that's really long is kind of annoying. So you have to be a little bit careful with those. It's going to take some time to get through, but they're not overly difficult because there are plenty of guides for them. Just some of them come down a little bit to luck at times with enemies and such. This are all from the Strike Force missions, which are optional missions, but you're going to need to do them for all the challenges in the veteran difficulty. That's another one for that, as is this one. Or, no, wait, I believe that this one is, and then this one is from the main story. So this one requires you to do a specific choice towards the ending. This one requires you to avoid having your partner get their face burned off during one mission. This one requires you to make specific choices that results in specific actions during the third to last mission. This one is, I believe, the same thing where it's like a specific mission thing, or this might actually be from the very beginning of the game. This one requires, I believe, you to save the aircraft carrier and have China come and help you. This one is at the very end of the game, I believe, is the final choice you make. This one is... which one is this one? I don't really remember what this one is. This one relates to getting the best ending in the game, or one of the better endings in the game, where Chloe survives. Collecting all the intel, there's like 3 pieces per mission, pretty easy. This one's unmissable here, just use a future weapon in a past time mission. This one, I don't remember at all, because this was a long time ago. Complete a level with your custom weapon loadout, you're going to get this one naturally. 10,000 points in every mission is very easy. Reaching level 10 and prestiging were easy back in the day, but they're gonna be a lot harder now because there's a lot of hackers that play this game's multiplayer. You gotta be pretty careful if you're gonna go for this today. And that being said, you can't even get the Platinum anymore because of big leagues, because they took out League Play. Or they took out the division setup of League Play, so you can't even get this trophy anymore, which is terrible. So if you don't have this trophy, you're SOL on obtaining this Platinum. 10 games in combat training is super easy in 10 games. In party games was a little bit tougher, but I mean, it's going to be a lot tougher now because you got hackers and tryhard and stuff. I don't know why. Oh, great. We got something like that happening during this video. Of course we do. Scroll back down to that. There we go. So this is the Easter egg for Transit, which is not one of the longer or tougher Easter eggs, but it is a little bit tricky, mostly because it's not a good map. Then you have to open up all doors without being set on fire, which is easy to do in co-op because your co-op partner can do all of it as long as you don't touch any of them. 10 zombies with 1 EMP is very easy in the main levels. All additions to the bus in one game is very easy. There's only 3 of them. I've done that many times. Acquire your tombstone. Just, that one you could actually boost yourself very easily with a partner if you wanted, because that's a perk that no one ever really uses. The 4 different equipable items, I think there's 5. There's the jet gun, the turbine, what else is there? The shield, there's like an electric trap, and there's like one other one. This one, you have to kill the Avogadro without being hit by him. You're going to need the EMP grenade to do that. Kill a denizen while it's lashed onto you. You're probably going to get naturally while running through the fog at some point. This one, you have to kill a denizen underneath a lamppost with a green light and jump through the portal it creates. I know it makes no sense. Buy 2 perks before turning on the power. You're going to need points, and you're going to need a turbine to do this. It's one of the harder Call of Duty games. It's in the upper half of the difficulties, but it's certainly not the hardest. Now, the DLC is what I went back to finish. The first one was Revolution. This is Die Rise. Die Rise is not that bad. The Easter egg is rather short and not terribly difficult, even though it does require 4 people. Flinging 10 zombies with the flinger is pretty easy. Round 10 without turning on the power is pretty easy. I actually wrote guides for all the DLCs except for Origins. Use all the perk machines in a game. You can do this solo as well as the Pack-a-Punch. You can do this one solo. I'd recommend trying to do it solo. Just make sure that you have Quick Revive or Who's Who, whatever it is, during your first run. 5 kills with a single shot from the Sliquifier is pretty much unmissable. Facing the dragon head-on just requires you to get to a certain part of the map very quickly. So you're probably going to want to use the bank for this one. Just bank some points and do it that way. Revive yourself using Who's Who. And then you have Diner Turn, which is a completely forgotten game mode. And you're going to need to boost these. There's really nothing else to say about it. You are going to need to boost these. You ain't going to get these legitimately anymore. You weren't going to get these legitimately back in the day when the game came out. But get a kill with each primary weapon is like 6 of them. So 6 kill streak is the human. And then the symbol monkey stuff are related to both of these trophies. Uprising, Mob of the Dead, fantastic map. Love this map, one of my all-time favorites. It's actually pretty easy as well. So you have execute the escape plan, which is to get to the bridge for your first time, very easy. Hell's Retriever, feed the 3 dogs, very easy. Complete the cycle 3 times, escape to the bridge 3 times, part of the Easter egg. Convert a weapon using a kit. You're going to want to do that for the Blundergat to make it the Acid Gat and the Vitriolic Withering. The only trophy I had left was Brutus completing his patrol, which requires Brutus to run around the map and lock down every single perk and workbench, which is actually rather easy, and the mystery box and a couple other things. It's pretty easy, it just takes a little bit of time during a match. You just want to try to get it done as early as possible. 10 kills with a single use of Electric Cherry. You want to do this by going down on yourself, and that kills a bunch of them really quickly. As long as you have an afterlife for it, that is. Open a door without spending points you're going to get naturally while you play by, shocking the door. So survive a round on the bridge on round 15 or higher is very easy. Then use and upgrade all traps before round 10. There's only one trap you have to upgrade. Most of them you just have to use. It just requires some points. Break the cycle. This is your Easter egg trophy, but this is one of the easier Easter eggs in the game. I did all of these trophies within a course of a week when the game came out, with the exception of Brutus. So this is a rather easy overall map. It's one that you don't have to worry too much about. Vengeance. This map can suck a you-know-what, because this Easter egg was a pain. I never want to touch this Easter egg again. I hated this. Most of the steps are easy. The sharpshooter step is not, where you have to have all 4 players shoot 20 targets perfectly in a short period of time. I mean, yeah, you can do it as many times as you want in a round, but that requires ammo, and it's terrible. Yeah, not fun. Moving on from that trophy, a free perk is going to be pretty much unmissable by running through the mansion. Have Huckleberry, or whatever Leroy his name is, activate all areas of the map by giving him candy. Or Booze. It was Booze, I'm sorry. It's Booze for that one. This one requires you to use the Subsurface Resonator in one game, 10 kills. Give him candy to make him do something, the big boy. Pack-a-Punch, a weapon on round 1 without using the bank is actually rather easy because of the way the whole Leroy system works. Use the Time Bomb. You're going to get that during the Easter egg, I believe, anyway. Survive a round in the maze on round, is it 20 or higher? Yeah, that's easy as long as you only have one entrance to the maze. The LSAT off the wall is a little bit tricky to get to, but it's not difficult to Pack-a-Punch. And then return to processing is going through the fountain in the maze and jumping through it. Apocalypse. I couldn't even tell you what happened on this map because I got my butt carried through the entirety of this DLC because I am terrible at Origins. I have no idea what happened on this map. I have no idea what happened during the Easter egg. All I know is I got carried through it from start to finish. So I don't have any good answers for you on tips for this one. Find someone that'll carry you because I had no idea what I was doing. Okay, this one though, I do know this trophy. You have to use a shovel to dig up a weapon. That's very easy. And activate all the generators without allowing them to stop is pretty much unmissable. Freeing yourself and another from Panzer Soldat, you're going to need a very powerful weapon to do that. Then all of the elemental staffs in one game takes time, but that's one of the main steps of this map. Riding the tank around the map actually isn't too terribly difficult. I did that one on my own a long time ago. Just have a decent weapon and you're good to go, especially if you had one of the staffs. There are like 5 different ways to revive someone that count, so you're going to have to be a little bit careful on that one though. You have to use zombie blood to revive a total of 3 players and activate a generator while using it during a single game. That's actually pretty easy because you get zombie blood reasonably often. All 4 challenges, that's not awful, but a couple of them can take some time. And then all of the ultimate staffs are the upgraded staffs, which is another part of the Easter egg. So like I said, I don't know anything about the map. I got carried through it. I'm not going to be able to help you much with that. Next up, we have Arcade Archives, 2 of them, Ninja Kid 2 and Mag Max. So these are the old Arcade Archives games where you got 7 trophies just for viewing all of the options and resetting the game, and your last 2 trophies were related to getting a high score. So this one took me 10 minutes. I don't even know what the game was, but it was very easy and gave me no trouble. Wait, was that Mag Max that I just clicked on? No, that was not. So, Ninja Kid was pretty easy. Mag Max was a little bit harder. This one took me around half an hour to get through. But, I mean, most of the old Arcade Archives games are easy, but they've gotten harder over the years just with the way the trophies have been set up. AER, I think this is the European version of the game. This is a pretty good game. This one's actually worth playing. It's sort of a flight simulator type of game, but there's no enemies. It's just puzzle solving. It's pretty easy, especially if you follow a guide. It's nice and relaxing. It's worth playing. To get the Platinum Trophy, you're going to get some trophies here by just completing the game. You have to speak to certain spirit animals throughout the world, which is basically a collectible. Discover all areas of the map, basically another collectible. This one you have to like carry a lamb back to its mother. This one, let me come back to that one. That's another basically collectible, basically a collectible, just find specific parts of the map. Nothing much to worry about with those as long as you are following a guide. So a bunch of really just easy explore the world based trophies. However, hide and seek, this trophy is weird. It has different requirements in every version of the game. There's a North American, European, and Asian version of the game. And the trophy is slightly different in each version with what you have to do, like the order in which you have to speak to the parents on the main island, the order in which you have to speak to the character, when you can speak to everyone, when you're allowed to go find the character. It's different based on the version, so I recommend looking up what you have to do for your particular version of the game before you do this. Chaos on Deponia. This is the European version of the game. This one was a lot better than the North American because it didn't glitch on me like the North American did. Or presumably this is the EU version because the North American version glitched on me when I did it. The European version was fine. So you have to listen to the entirety of songs in the tutorial. This one's like in the tutorial. It's a bunch of miscellaneous trophies. And basically, just do certain things throughout the course of the story. If you're following a guide like the one on PlayStation Trophies, you shouldn't have any problem with most of these, as long as the game doesn't glitch on you or anything. This training section, though, is one of the hardest, this sort of fight, when you play, like, platypus wrestling or whatever it's called. That's probably one of the hardest parts of the game, just because it doesn't make sense, and you're not allowed to train yourself to win it. So it can be a little bit tricky. That one's going to take a few tries to get, but it's not too difficult overall. This is another one from like a song, and then really it's just a lot of some story-related trophies and some miscellaneous trophies. But if you're following a guide, you should really have no issue with this, provided that the game doesn't glitch out on you, like I said. What you do have to be careful with, though, is these 2 trophies related to the pinup gal poster. With these, you have to find all 12 pieces for this trophy, but if you want to cheat, you can save right before picking up a piece, and then pick up the piece, reload your save, and pick it up again to get this trophy. If you do it that way, you'll void this trophy. What happened in the North American version was that this glitched out on me, and I ended up having to do an entire second playthrough just for the collectibles, just for the pinup poster pictures, because for some reason it counted that I picked up a piece that I never picked up or something like that. So it was terrible that it did that to me. You have to fill your inventory and watch the entirety of the credits. Like I said, this is one where you're going to want to follow a guide. It's a point-and-click adventure game. Would have liked the game a lot more if it hadn't left a sour taste in my mouth because of that. Disney Classics, Aladdin and The Lion King. These games would be borderline impossible if you had to do them legitimately. Well, I don't know about Aladdin, because all you have to do for Aladdin is just beat it on difficulty and beat it on the Final Cut version. That's all you had to do, so it wasn't that complicated. I don't know how difficult the Aladdin game was back in the day, but I do know that the Lion King is pretty Oh, wait, never mind, I'm wrong. Lion King is the one you only have to beat. Aladdin is the one you have to do a bunch of stuff in. The Lion King game is the really, really hard one, though. This is an infamously difficult game from back in the day. So, the good thing is you can use not necessarily cheats, or more like a debug type of option in this game that allows you to have like infinite health and stuff, which makes it so much easier or even possible to get through the Lion King game. The Aladdin game, there's a lot more stuff you have to do. Like I said, you have to beat it. You have to beat the original version of it on the highest difficulty. You have to beat the Final Cut version. You have to beat certain bosses and bonus rounds and stuff like that. What you could do, though, was there's like an option to control time, basically, within the game and rewind within a specific mode of it. Maybe it was that Final Cut version, and that allows you to basically cheat/skip your way through it. So I highly recommend doing that if you don't want to go insane and are like most people and not good enough at the game to beat it legitimately. The Inner World, this is the European version. I don't like this game, and it was not worth doing a second time. So, 5 trophies for beating the game, talk to every character, don't use any hints, go back and start a second playthrough just to do a bunch of hints, so use like 10 hints at the beginning of the game, and then a whole bunch of miscellaneous trophies for talking to characters, doing certain actions, etc. I don't want to talk much about this game because you should not play it. It's not worth it because it's a broken mess. Now, as you can see here, the platinum took me so 2:21 p.m. I think was my first trophy, so it took me right around 2 hours to get the platinum. You could beat this in an hour and a half if the game didn't legitimately crash 6 times per playthrough. So I can not say enough, don't play this game. It ain't worth it. I haven't played the sequel yet, but this game ain't worth it. It's going to crash on you multiple times. It's not fun or well made because of that. Not worth it. Moving on. Super Weekend Mode. We got a triple stack here for the North American PS4, European PS4, and North American Vita versions. This is a very quick Rattle-like game if you know what you're doing. This one, the original version took me about 18 minutes, but it's very easy. You just have to beat the 3 stages of the game. The way the game plays is kind of weird. It's sort of a twin-stick shooter, but with some different mechanics. Level up once, that's unmissable. 50,000 points is pretty tough to miss unless you're just really struggling with the game. You'll probably get those naturally, though. The 100 chain is a little bit tougher. You have to not get hit. You have to die once. You have to slam into a bunny by hitting it sideways. And then you have to collect a total of 300 hearts throughout your playthroughs, which you can do over multiple playthroughs, thankfully. But it's like a twin-stick shooter where you control like each of the 2 guns by moving them with the left and right control sticks. It's kind of weird, and the whole hitting the bunny mechanic doesn't work that well. But you also have to get 1 trophy for playing the game on the highest difficulty for like 2 seconds. So nothing to worry about there. I did that version very quickly. I did this version in 7 minutes, and I did the Vita version in 4 minutes. So this is a potential 5-minute platinum if you are decent at the game. So it's not much to worry about. It might take a little bit of practice and a little bit of getting used to, but it's not too difficult. Next up, Call of Duty Ghosts on the PS4. So I did the Platinum Trophy a long time ago. This Platinum Trophy at the time was the easiest in the franchise. All you had to do was basically complete the campaign. You had to do miscellaneous actions, of which I don't really remember most of them, but very few of them were difficult. I'll point out the difficult ones, though. Let's see. Oh, that was a pretty solid trophy right there. That was a nice meme, I guess. Let's see. Where was the tough stuff? Okay, this one could potentially be hard. You had to complete a specific section of the game by killing everyone without taking damage on Veteran. Took a couple of tries, but still not too difficult. Not too much to worry about there. That's midway through the game. Veteran in this game was very easy. It's not really anything to worry about if you've ever played like a Call of Duty game. At the time, it was the easiest Call of Duty Platinum and one of the easiest Veteran modes, along with Black Ops 2, because Black Ops 2, you could, build your own create a class. The other difficult trophy, I would say, was this one within the campaign for destroying all the ground targets without killing any allies with the kinetic rods during the next to last mission. Because it's late in the mission, even though it's a short mission, and it's very easy to miss something or accidentally kill someone. And if you were on the PS3 version, you wouldn't even know if you got it because the game's trophy delay. It's not that bad in this one, though. So you also have to collect the 18 work files. There's one in every mission, which is very simple. And we'll skip Extinction for now, just to mention you get a trophy for being the campaign on Veteran and a trophy for completing 20 rounds of Safeguard, which is a side mode of the multiplayer that's very easy. Now, the difficulty in this Platinum came from Extinction mode. At least back in the day, Extinction has grown on me. I like it a lot more now than I did back when the game came out because there's more strategies and stuff to it and more abilities. So, for the trophies, you had to escape with all 4 players surviving to the helicopter. I don't know if you could do this on any particular map or if you could only do it on the first map, but you had to have 4 people to do this and all 4 of them had to make it. Reaching the chopper with a minute and a half was pretty easy. Escape 1 time was pretty easy. This was one of the hardest trophies. You had to escape after completing every single challenge. I'd recommend doing that on 2-player because the challenges become a lot harder on 3 and 4-player because they have more requirements. The cabin and the city are both parts of escaping, so you're going to get both of these naturally the first time you escape. Then you have to get 50 kills with the traps in one game. You're just going to want to dedicate a full playthrough to doing that, as well as this one of scavenging items. Neither one's that difficult, but they're going to take up a full playthrough of like part of the game. But it's mostly just this completion one. There are some difficult challenges in this game, so you're going to have to be kind of careful with that one. It's going to take multiple tries. You ain't going to get it first try. It's going to require some luck with the challenges you get. Also, you have to escape using a relic, but this really isn't that hard, especially if you're the only person in the lobby using a relic. So, that being said, then we get to the DLCs. And the DLCs are where this game's difficulty jumps up a lot more. First, we have Onslaught. This is Nightfall. You're going to get 3 trophies the first time you escape and complete the map, so those are all unmissable. You have to kill the breeder in under 5 minutes, which is going to require a very specific strategy that we had. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, my team knew what they were doing, and they had really good abilities that made it possible. 50 kills with the Venom X is a little bit tough just because you don't get a whole lot of ammo for it on this map, and you don't get it until late on this map, if it's the map I'm thinking of. So you have to be pretty careful with this one and try to get it toward the end before you get to the boss fight. You have to beat the map while completing all challenges, which is, again, pretty screwed up because it's very easy to get screwed over by a challenge at the very end. It's happened on multiple of these maps, so you are going to have to be pretty careful with that trophy and get kind of lucky with it. Though, as you can see, I earned most of these trophies on like one playthrough of the game. I think we got the challenges and the relic escape and the 5-minute kill all in a single playthrough, so we did pretty well on that. I had a good group to play this whole game with on PS4. So you had to escape while using a relic. It's not that hard, especially if you're the only one using a relic once again. 5 phantoms in one game, nothing much to worry about there. As long as you know that it's there and specifically go for it. They're a little bit tough to kill. They're the ones that sort of turn invisible and warp around. But it's not terribly difficult if you know what you're doing with it and know what to expect and don't let your teammates kill them. Killing a rhino with only a pistol is a little bit tricky as well. Just don't let anyone on your team shoot it. Don't let any of your traps hit it. And you should be okay. The intel you can actually do on casual difficulty, which makes it much easier to get to the end of the level where the last intel piece is. And then you also have to complete the extra XP challenge, which requires you to go into 4 DLC maps, shoot a hive in each map, and then destroy a hive in the DLC. If you're going to go for this game, knock this out now because it's a multiplayer trophy, and you can do it in either Safeguard or Squads, but even so, it's just kind of random as to whether or not you get into the map you want. So be very, very careful with these extra XP challenges if you want to start on Ghosts anytime soon. Devastation is the second DLC map. This is the easiest one. You have to beat the map, and you have to beat it using a relic. You also have to complete all challenges and beat the map, which is, again, pretty difficult because there are some pretty annoying and or unfair challenges. Depending on where you get them, you can sometimes get a really unfair challenge in the very last section of the map. I mean, these can be things like, where you have to get kills while the enemies are in the air, kills with traps, kills with various bad weapons at the very end of the map where they're not any good. So you're going to have to be kind of careful with those. You're going to have to get kind of lucky with those, unfortunately. Finding all the intel you can do on casual. So once again, if you miss that, just do it on casual and you're good to go. The 15 cedar turrets is pretty tough to miss if you're playing through this map, because they're the big red spindly things that hang off the ceilings and stuff. They're pretty easy to kill, and killing 15 isn't much of a problem. For this one, you just have to build a hypno trap and use it to turn a rhino friendly. Pretty easy and actually very useful strategy. You actually have to build all of the schematics, but you don't have to do it in a single game, even though you have to do it on regular difficulty. And then you have another extra XP challenge. It's the same thing. Knock this out early, because you don't want to have to be logging into that multiplayer these days. I did all of the extra XPs back in 2017. Invasion, the third DLC map. This one requires you to complete the map for the first time, but you have to escape using 2 relics this time instead of just 1, making it definitely a little bit harder even if you have a good team, because 2 relics starts to cause problems. I don't really remember which relics I picked, but I used the same ones for pretty much every map. I think that not moving as fast was one of them, but this map might be a little bit tougher for that one just because of that escape portion at the very end, because you have to run all the way back to the beginning. Then, of course, there's one for completing all challenges and escaping, which we didn't have much trouble with this one on this map. I think we just got lucky with the challenge layout, which was good. It's not as bad in terms of overall challenges, I feel like, compared to some of the other maps. Intel is the same as the other maps, just, find all of it on casual if you need to, nothing to worry about there. Killing a gargoyle with the Vanguard is the drone you get during the last part of each of the first 2 areas of the map, and you have to kill a gargoyle, the floating enemies with it. Not too hard, provided you can get one to spawn at the right time. The extra XP challenge, already talked about that. You have to escape with each of the 4 classes, so this map is going to require 4 escapes, but this trophy actually will cross-save. Actually, so will the extra XP challenges. I needed to mention that. If you do the extra XP challenges and this particular trophy right here, well-rounded, on one version of the game, they will auto-pop on the other version of the game. I believe the Intel also auto-pops. You can actually auto-pop quite a few trophies when you jump between 2 versions of the game, which will save you a little bit of time, especially on this DLC, so you only have to escape once or twice. 5 cryptids with the arc attached to every weapon. There's 12 weapons you have to do this with, and even with the arc attachment, the weapons aren't always the best. Plus, the arc is a little bit random as to where it spawns. But that map is more on par with the first map. Devastation's the easiest, Invasion and Onslaught are in the middle. Nemesis is probably the hardest overall, though, because this one, they made this one fairly painful. So, escape the map is the first trophy, which is unmissable pretty much. You have to complete the map with at least 1 relic, but I believe you also have to complete the map with 2... Oh, no, you don't. Not on this map. So, complete the map with at least 1 relic active. That's not terrible this time around. The challenges are pretty tough once again. You can get screwed over by a bad challenge at a bad time. The story files are easy, though, so that one's not going to give you much of a problem. I don't know if I ever earned any... No, I did earn the extra XP, but that was it. Complete any outpost by activating the generators. You're going to get this one while escaping for the first time or completing the map for the first time. The extra XP challenge is the same as always. The final 3 ancestors within 10 seconds of killing the first. What you have to do here is not kill any of the ancestors during the final defense, and sprint straight to the end and kill all of them instantly. That's the only way to do this one consistently and easily. You can try to hit an ancestor with a Hypno Knife for a trophy. It's obviously not going to work, but it is at least an easy trophy. Then, the final ancestor with a relic active in hardcore difficulty. This is a brutal trophy. Hardcore mode, you only get skill points by clearing each of the traps. So you get like half as many skill points in the game to upgrade stuff with. You're gonna need a full group, and you're gonna not want to focus on anything else. You only get skill points for challenges. My bad. So you have to be very, very careful with this one. You have to get very lucky with your challenges. You have to have a very competent group. You die a lot faster. Everything's harder. Everything's miserable. It wasn't terrible, honestly. I've dealt with worse, but it was tough. It took a few tries. And then 3 kills with a single shot from a specific weapon is actually rather easy. It's like an energy gun. So yeah, that was Call of Duty Ghost. That was the PS4 version. I cleaned it up in the last year, which I am very happy about to have it done. It's another Call of Duty game out of the way. And I did do the PS3 version. It's a little bit further up, though. Conan Exiles. This was a game that got free on PS Plus that took up like 80 gigabytes of space, which is absolutely ridiculous. The good thing is the game can be done with the admin panel available. So you have to reach level 60, get a specific weapon, create a building, sleep, use a religious altar, put an enemy on a wheel of pain. You can do all of this by using the, whatever you want to call it, the debug menu or admin panel to basically spawn everything that you would need and warp around the map. I highly recommend doing it that way. Now this trophy, Bad Driver I think has a guide for this game, and his guide is actually wrong on this trophy. It doesn't really show it properly. There's a specific way you have to do it. Then you have to kill specific enemies, but you can use like an instant kill command for all of them, which is really nice. And you have to go to specific areas of the map, which is also very easy because you can just warp around the map with the admin panel. Falling for 3 seconds and reaching the skies are both pretty easy. The first chapter just requires you to complete a few miscellaneous tasks, which is also easy. This trophy is co-op only. You are going to need to have a partner, and you are going to need to jump on their head to get this trophy. So you are going to need another player to be able to get this platinum. Not much more to say about it. Wasn't really a fan of this game. No real point of playing it unless you want an easy platinum. 1979 Revolution Black Friday. This is another obscure game that you guys have probably never heard of. You're going to get a lot of trophies just by completing the game. It is a purely dialogue choice-driven game, not much of actual gameplay in it. So complete the game, and then all of the trophies in this game are glitched in a weird way in that they unlock in different orders for every person that plays the game. You have to unlock all of the stories, and that's as well as like these points and stuff. Anything related to these points and stories is glitched and will unlock in a random order for different players. And some of them will unlock before you have collected everything, so there's that. I don't think any of them are glitched to where they won't unlock, just know that they will often unlock out of order for most players. You have to interact with everyone on the streets and in the Rebel headquarters in 2 specific missions. More unlockable items. Like I said, with everything through here, they're going to unlock in a weird order for everyone, so don't worry about it. Just follow a guide. I think that there's a text guide. I think that Bad Driver has a guide. That's the best way to do it. Then you have these 2 trophies, which require you to make all the peaceful choices and all the violent choices, but I think you can just chapter select this one, so it's not too bad. So just do all peaceful for one playthrough and all violent for your cleanup, or vice versa. Then you have to pass the 2 trauma gameplays. I'm not even sure this one's missable. I think this is actually an unmissable story type trophy. More stories to unlock and tapes are collectibles, I believe. This one, when you go to a home in one of the chapters, you have to explore everything in it. So that one's a little bit more missable, but I think the game has chapter select, so I think it's fine. So you can choose to save either Hussein or Ali during a later chapter of the game. That's going to affect your ending, and it's going to get you to specific trophies. You can also do this one where you fully cooperate, which is a playthrough long trophy that you're going to be going for. And then this one, you have to not fail a single QTE in the game. There's only a few in the game, so it's not really that much to worry about, but do just keep that in mind. Very obscure game. Not a bad game, though. Have certainly played worse, but very obscure. Red Dead Redemption. Got the 100% in this game, so I don't remember the story at all because I played this nearly 10 years ago. but you're going to get some trophies for completing the story. You have to win at poker and liar's dice and horseshoes. You have to finish all the gang hideouts in single player, knock out everyone in every saloon, complete all of the stranger tasks, break every kind of horse, capture a bounty. Of course, this fabulous trophy where you place a hog-tied woman on the train tracks and watch her get run over. Purchase a rare weapon, kill and skin grizzly bears. The elegant suit is a special item. Earn $10,000. Complete a bunch of a challenge. Headshots in expert. The highest fame and highest honor or dishonor. So a lot of playthrough spanning trophies. It's a Rockstar game. It's a fantastic game. Absolutely love Red Dead Redemption, but I just don't really remember the trophies that well because it's been so long since I did the Platinum. The gold medal for a combat mission is actually easy. It's the only gold medal you have to get. Kill all the buffalo in the game. Unlock every location. The pardon letter with a high bounty can be a little bit tricky to escape from, but it's not too bad. The 100% in this game is not that bad compared to some of the later games from Rockstar like GTA 5. 20 story missions while using a single horse is a bit missable, so be careful about this one. Evading the U.S. Marshals while riding a specific horse is not too bad. This one's best done in Undead Nightmare, actually. There's an easy way to grind it there. 500 kills with various weapons is pretty easy. Same with the headshots and killing all the animal types. Then you get to the multiplayer. The multiplayer is broken. It has been broken for years. That can be beneficial, though, in terms of leveling up, because there are glitches that allow you to repeatedly clear hideouts and level up very quickly. The PS3 version's pretty broken. The Xbox version seems to still be okay, though. So you have to complete all the hideouts, which is pretty easy. 10 assists. This is going to require you to have another player in the lobby with you, helping you out. Get from one part of the map to the other before sundown. That's actually pretty easy as long as you don't get messed with too much. The Posse Up trophy, I don't remember how many players this one required. This one might have required a lot of players, though. Then be the top scoring player in 3 consecutive free-for-all games. You ain't going to get this unless you're boosting it. Can say that quite simply right now. I think it was one of the last trophies I got. Reach the top rank. Again, there are now methods you can use to glitch this out and make it much easier. Win 4 consecutive games in team modes. Again, you're going to have to boost it. Public Enemy for 10 minutes is fairly easy, and then you have a viral trophy, which most people tend to get. That was actually like the first trophy we got back when Lizard Guy brought the game over and we were messing around with people in the multiplayer. The main thing I focused on, though, was the multiplayer. We have Outlaws to the End. This is the co-op pack. So most of this is easy. You have to complete a mission with just 2 people, complete all the missions, gold medal all of them, and complete one without anyone dying. Those are all very easy. Nothing to worry about with those trophies. You can knock those out in a day if you want to. It mostly comes down to the advanced co-op trophies. Oh, beat a co-op mission without dying. That's also easy. Advanced co-op, beating the missions isn't too hard. It just removes your it just removes your auto-targeting, so you have to manual target. So completing the missions isn't really a problem. It's more completing them with the gold medals, which is going to take some practice and some luck and a skilled team and some good communication. Same with the 10 kill chain. Man, it feels like I did these more recently, though, than May of last year. It's been seriously a year since I did these from the day I'm recording this, actually. Or it's been like just over a year and a day since I did these. Wow, okay, that's kind of cool. Can't believe it's been that long. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. The kill chain of 10 or more in advanced co-op is not terrible. You can do it with a cannon as well in like the first mission if you're struggling. But gold medaling all of the advanced co-op missions is the hardest trophy in this DLC. It might take a little bit of luck. It's going to take some skill for sure. It's going to take a good group, but it's not terrible. If I can do it, you guys certainly can. Legends and Killers, you can boost most of this with just 2 players and 2 PS3s. A 2-0 deficit and win and hold your own is one of those trophies. 3 kills with a knife or throwing knife in a single match. Again, you can boost with yourself. The double capture is just collecting a lot of gold in a single match. Again, easy. Same with this headshot trophy. This one you have to pass into Legend, which is basically like prestiging. We already talked about that for the base game, though. Pretty simple. This one, of course, you can boost with another player. Just have them stand still and you're good to go. Although, I think... No, wait, you can do this one in single player, can't you? Yeah, you can. This trophy up here, though, I skipped it because this one is going to require 4 people to be in your game. You're going to have 4 total people, and you're going to have to kill all 3 of your opponents in a single standoff or showdown. This was easier back in the day when there were more people playing the game, but nowadays you're going to have to boost it, but it's extremely easy to boost and won't take more than a couple minutes for everyone. The Tomahawk challenges are a single-player thing that are very easy. You have to get 25 kills in specific ways with specific online characters, but again, you can boost this with your second account. Now, I will say, the multiplayer is janky. It can be tough to get into a match, and it can be very tough to stay in a match with your co-op partner. You may have to join 5 to 10 times before it actually works. That's what I often had to do. Liars and Cheats. This is the Gambling and Racing DLC. The Explosive Rifle is a single-player trophy that's very easy. The rest of it's a little bit tougher. So this one is going to require you to have 6 total people and or 6 total PS3s in the game. You basically have to play until the blinds are at a maximum and then win. So, yeah, it is a little tricky. It's going to require a lot of either patience and skill in poker, or you're going to have everyone stay in the game. You're going to have a full 6-player group actually stay in the game until you get to maximum blind. So you're going to have to boost it nowadays. Winning a hand on the last card when you were losing prior is 100% luck-based, even if you're boosting with yourself. Liar's Dice trophies, you can actually do both of these by boosting with yourself or with another partner because you can tell each other what you have and obviously win that way. Winning all of the races in a Grand Prix is very easy if you're playing just with your own second account. Same with this one. Get last place, then win the next one. Nothing to worry about there if you're playing against yourself. Then this one, you have to not allow the enemy team to capture their stuff in this game mode. This one you can do with just a second account very easily. The 50,000 posse points, I think you want to do sort of the same way you grinded the XP. This trophy is another one that's going to require a total of 4 people within the lobby, 1 on one team, 3 on the other, and you have to kill all 3 of them very quickly. It's very easy to boost, but you are going to need 3 people to do it. So the more people you can get in the lobby total, the better, because you can all get it in one game if you're careful about it. Finally, there's Undead Nightmare. So you're going to get some story-related trophies here by doing all of these through On a Pale Horse. Then you have to save all territories at the same time and attain 100% completion, so that's going to take some time. You have to complete all of the Undead Nightmare challenges, which isn't too hard. It's not going to take too much time to get. The Unicorn, the Chupacabra, and Sasquatch are rare spawns in specific areas, but they're all relatively easy to get overall by this game's standards. You also have to make it to Wave 15 in Undead Overrun, which is the last trophy I got because it's like a 4-player co-op survival. But I can't remember what we did. I think we didn't have the right aiming system on, and once we put the correct aiming system on, we beat it first try, no problem. But before that, we were struggling. This one requires 9 people. Yeah, it sucks. It requires 9 people. I was lucky enough to do it back when the game was more populated, sort of by accident. Red Dead Redemption is a fantastic game, as is its sequel. It is very worth playing, but the Platinum and 100% is going to take you a lot of time and a lot of multiplayer. Hasbro Family Game Night. This is one of the 2 games on my list where the Platinum is unobtainable because the servers shut down. Though this one is not my fault because the guy did not say the servers were down when I bought the game. It didn't change until later. So I went back and cleaned up what was left of the trophy list because I wanted this as high of a percentage completion as possible. The Battleship trophies are all very easy, as you can just do them against a second controller. Not even a second console, but a second controller. The Game of Boggle and the 5-letter words and the 10 games and the 8-letter word are all very easy. But this trophy I could never get. It seemed to be glitched, but I finally got it in the past year. So about a year ago I got it. So thankfully I finished it, but I always had trouble getting it to unlock. I don't know what it was. Maybe I was just dumb or something. Who knows? Connect 4 gave me some trouble with getting the 4 round wins in a row. I ended up using a solver for this. There was an algorithm or a program online that would tell you how to win. So I would recommend that if you're doing this. Winning a game of Sorry and winning one after moving every pawn is relatively easy. but I don't really understand the rules of Sorry. That's not really a game I ever played as a kid, so this one took me a while to knock out all these trophies. They were fairly easy, especially against just, AI and yourself, but it takes a little bit of time to get through, so if you know how Sorry works, you'd probably have an easier time with it. I was more of a Monopoly and Trouble and Battleship guy when I was younger, and Uno. Sorry Sliders is pretty easy. None of these trophies are going to give you any problems really whatsoever. This, of course, is the one trophy you can't get. Play a game online. The servers were down when I bought the game, and the guide did not specify. The game, when I purchased it, didn't specify, which sucks. Then you have to customize the game room, which is very easy. 3 total hours of playtime, which you could always just AFK if you don't somehow get this naturally. And this is basically like the Platinum Trophy. Why couldn't this have just been the Platinum Trophy instead of that online trophy? Because I could knock that out in 5 seconds if it was actually, still obtainable. Come on, guys. Just change your trophy, please. Just make that exception and be different. Be the better side, the good developer for once. I'm pretty sure the developer that made this doesn't even exist anymore, so I don't know what I'm even saying at this point. We're not even at 350 yet, and I have lost my voice, and we're at over 2 hours in. Oh boy, this has been an interesting video so far, so I'm going to take another break, and I will be back in a little while with the next set. Okay guys, so as a little note to end this video, I initially wanted to do all of the trophies from 401 to 500 as a single video, but given that it ended up being over 5.5 hours worth of recorded content, I figured it would be a lot better to split it into 2 separate videos. Mostly because I'm not sure my computer can handle a video that big, both exporting it from the Adobe Premiere Pro as well as uploading it. It would have taken probably numerous hours to even upload and a lot of internet, so that's the main reason why this is getting split up. Also, I need to make sure that the final hour-ish of it came out properly because it didn't sound completely right when I was recording it. So I just need to make sure that came out well. So thank you guys for your patience on waiting for the second episode, and I will see you hopefully within about a week for that second part.